Excellent. Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. "250 years around the corner." Very exciting. All right, let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Whitman,
Here.
Councilmember Reed,
Present.
Councilmember Sanders,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Penna,
Present.
Mayor Taylor.
Here. Okay. Let's see. Anything that we need to pull here from, I see we need to pull a G6.
Correct. We'll be pulling requests to pull presentations, item C1 and C2. In addition, we're going to be pulling consent item G11, all three to the September meeting. In addition, we're going to be pulling for discussion item G6, approval of the Historic Neighborhood Recognition Program. And with those amendments, we do ask for a motion to amend.
With those
Wait,
amendments.
I would also like to pull G8
G for discussion today or
for
pull-
discussion. Yeah,
Okay.
for discussion.
Okay, then, do we have a motion to accept the newly adjusted agenda?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, off we go. So I believe the first agenda item today is the Riverside County Sheriff Quarterly Update, which has been pulled. Riverside County pulled, Annual George Charity Car Show Update by co-chair Craig Corthez. Craig, are you here? Come on up.
Thank you. It's my privilege again to address you after the results of the Dr. George Charity Car Show that was held on Valentine's Day this past February. We had a record number of vehicles there, a record attendance, and also a record contribution of $140,000 to the Desert Cancer Foundation, which is up about $20,000 from previous years. Since then, we are a fundraising organization. We use our cars to raise funds. We've given them an additional $10,000. So we're very much involved in the community, and we love the work that we do and love using our vehicles to raise funds for the various charities in the valley. And we thank you for the support that you've provided through allowing us to use your day at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden for this show. It takes us a week to put that together and about 3 hours to take it apart. But it's a great show. It's got a great reputation. As you'll notice from my hat, Chip Foose was a special guest. If you're at all familiar with the classic car industry and classic car designs, Chip is an icon in that arena. Also, Peter Brock. Peter is the designer of the 63 split window Corvette, the youngest designer ever hired by General Motors, and has gone on to racing and popularity as a multi-talented car designer, etc. So we are beginning to get some traction amongst these groups, and it draws in more people. Chip did a couple podcasts where he addressed the fact that he was coming to the show, and it was a big help in order to add to our attendance. As usual, we give out a goodie bag. This may look somewhat familiar. We got such a deal on these things we couldn't resist. I'm sorry to say they're very similar to previous years. And we have one for each one of you. It's got inside it a copy of the program and some other
Thank you.
little ditties that we give out to each of the car owners that attend the show. We had 1,100 cars registered for the show this year, and about 5 or 6,000 people come through the gate. So it was a great show. We want to thank you immensely for your support. If you have any questions, I'm willing to address those now. So
Anybody have any questions?
Just a comment. My only criticism of the show is I didn't win a trophy. But thank you for putting it on. And Chip Foose was a great attraction.
Yes.
And if you can get him back, he's very engaging. He mingled with the crowd. He freely answered questions. Really nice guy.
He is a consummate gentleman, and we were very pleased to have him come. He made a comment because we've been trying to get him to come to the show for years because his mother and father used to come to the show when it was on the back lot at the tennis garden, and they loved the show, and they kept telling him, "Chip, you got to go." And he made the comment to one of our members when he went up on stage. Just before he went up on stage, he said, "I really screwed up. I should have been coming here a long time ago."
Yeah.
So he said, "I'll be back, and I'll be back."
Great.
So I'm pretty sure you'll see him in the future.
Thank you for your success and for your update.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
kind.
you for all your help.
Excuse me, do you have the date for the next upcoming
Yes.
year?
Yes, we do. We've moved it off of Valentine's Day. No, we always have it on the second
Okay.
Saturday of February, and it'll be on the
February
February
13th.
13th
Okay. Thank you.
this next year. So thank you again.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. The next item is Phase 2 progress update on Sunline Rides Reimagined by CEO Mona Babauta.
Hi, Mayor Taylor.
All right. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Thank you for the time. I also want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Penna, and I want to acknowledge our Sunline Board member, Bruce Whitman, and thank you very much, council members, for your time today. I'm Mona Babauta, the General Manager for Sunline Transit Agency. I know my staff came here a couple months ago to talk about Phase 1 when we first kicked off the initiative, and I'm here to tell you about Phase 2. So just a little bit about the Sunline Rides Reimagined. It's an initiative that we're taking on to reimagine our transit system and how it's designed and how it serves our communities. It's an 18-month process, and I'll go ahead and let me just move on to this. Well, actually, I'm going to start off with telling you a little bit about Sunline, just to give you some context. So Sunline is the public transit provider for the Coachella Valley. We have been that provider for over 49 years. Next year, we'll celebrate our 50th anniversary. And we carry about 2.7 million people every year. We cover a service area of about 1,100 square miles. So that is about the size of the state of Rhode Island. So it's a very vast service area that goes as far east as North Shore, Mecca, all the way out to Desert Hot Springs. And then we have a commuter service that runs all the way to San Bernardino. On that commuter service, we carry a lot of students going to Cal State San Bernardino. So you have a lot of college kids that fill our buses early in the morning to go to school every day. And then we also serve the Metrolink station in downtown San Bernardino. So not only are we the local provider, but we're also a regional provider that connects our citizens to the larger Los Angeles metropolitan area, as well as other providers in Riverside County. And if they plan well enough, they can even make their way down to San Diego. So we do our best to make sure that there's connectivity for our citizens throughout Southern California. We provide not only that and Sunbus, we also provide paratransit, which is complementary to the bus, the big buses. So just a little bit about that. We are required by federal law to provide paratransit service within 3/4 of a mile of where the big buses go. So if a big bus doesn't go somewhere, we don't provide paratransit service. So that is something that's really important for folks to know as we go into this process. And then we also provide microtransit, which is our version of Uber and Lyft. So you have an app and you can go online and you can book a ride. And we're also the taxi regulator for the Valley. And we have a partnership with the taxis to provide subsidized taxi rides. So those two services are meant to fill in gaps where we don't provide SunBus or paratransit service. And we endeavor to try and fill as many mobility gaps as possible. And so about Sunline Rides Reimagined, again, it's an initiative that we're taking on to reimagine our transit system. It's an 18-month process. It started last fall. We started off with gathering data to understand travel patterns and how people take the bus every day. We looked at time of day. We looked at where they were going. We even pulled cell phone data to see where people collect, where they gather, and to understand if we're serving those areas well now or if we need to do better at that. And so we did data analysis, and we also did our first round of public engagement. And through that survey process, we collected information, demographic information about folks, and then where they want to go, and what do they want to see in their transit system? Are they willing to walk to bus stops? What is it that they like and what is it that they don't like about the transit system today? So we gathered all of that information, and that led us to phase 2. And that's where we are right now. And in phase 2, what we did was we started drawing lines on maps based on the information we got in phase 1. And the lines that we drew were on two different, we created 2 different service scenarios. And ultimately, we are going to take these service scenarios to the board of directors, and we're going to do that in July. So the 2 service scenarios that we came up with, and I will go into that in a little bit with all of you, is ridership based. So there's a focus on designing a transit system that would result in an increase in ridership. And then the other service scenario we created was focused on access and coverage, making sure that as many people across the entire valley, from North Shore Mecca all the way to Desert Hot Springs, has access to public transit. So those were the 2 service scenarios that we came up with, and we used the information in phase 1 to develop both scenarios. And so those 2 scenarios will go to the board of directors in July for their feedback. And once we get their feedback in July, and we're going to make sure that all of the information that we collected from the public and through data analysis, it's presented to them at that time, they're going to give us direction on whether or not they like one or the other. If they don't like either one, then what is it that we need to produce? So that's what we're looking for the board to give us feedback on in July. When that happens, we enter phase 3. And I just want to make sure that we go over the process with all of you. When we get to phase 3, we're going to go back to the drawing board and make sure that we come up with a final scenario that does its best at meeting all of the mobility needs within the valley. And we're going to do another round of public engagement to make sure that we are getting as close to being right as possible. Once we get that, we will go back to the board and ask them for a final guidance and ask them to take action on a final scenario. And that final scenario will be used to inform service changes moving forward. An initiative like this only happens every 5 to 6 years, so it doesn't happen that often. And so the work that we're doing right now is really important for making sure that we serve the community as well as possible for the next 5 to 6 years. And so just a little bit about what we learned in the first phase. So it's probably not surprising that the majority of those who responded to the survey in phase 1 do not use public transit right now. And my guess is a lot of that is by design, right? We are a very vast valley. We're very broad. Again, the service area that we serve is about the size of the state of Rhode Island. It's very big. And it's hard to provide probably the kind of service, the frequent service that a lot of folks would like to see when we're serving such a large service area. We also heard that folks are willing to walk a little bit longer to have the bus come more often. And they're willing to transfer or take more than one bus to get from point A to point B, if that means overall the trip is shorter. So that makes sense. People want to see the bus come by more frequently. That goes without saying. There's a sense of comfort people get when they know the bus is going to come frequently. At that point, they can put away their schedule and they can just walk out to a bus stop and just know that the bus is going to come often. And people like that. And when they do get on the bus, they don't want to be on the bus that long. They want to get to where they want to go as fast as possible. So that was real clear through the survey. And we appreciated hearing that. And that largely informed how we designed the 2 service scenarios that I'll go over with you in a little bit. And then also, and this is probably by design in the Valley, it's pretty much split in terms of what do people want to see in a service design. About half want to see a system that is more ridership focused, that provides frequent service along corridors that have most of what people need: jobs, healthcare, shopping, all of that. And then you have others who rely on the bus and they need that bus where they live. And a lot of those folks are further away from the urban centers. And so that kind of leans more towards coverage. And so again, we're in phase 2. The scenarios I'm going to go over with you are constrained by known resources. So basically, we produce 2 scenarios that are based on the resources we have today. Sunline's current operating budget is about $50 million. Our capital budget is a little over $100 million. But really what matters as we produce these service scenarios really is our operating budget. So it is constrained. And there are trade-offs clearly between the 2 scenarios. And we are gathering feedback right now. And we'll be gathering feedback through the end of June. And so this is a map of the existing network. So just to go over this really quick, Indian Wells is served currently by 3 routes. The primary route that serves Indian Wells is along Highway 111. The entire stretch of Indian Wells along Highway 111 is served by public transit. In addition to the 1EV, which is along Highway 111, is the Route 7. And the Route 7 is focused along the eastern side of Indian Wells. It primarily serves La Quinta and goes all the way up to Interstate 10. But it touches Indian Wells at where the Southwest Church is. That is the only stop on Route 7. So it's up Washington Street and Fred Waring. We also have the Route 6 that serves Indian Wells along Fred Waring between Cook and Washington. And so there are, I think, 2 stops along that stretch. One is at Cook and Fred Waring, which is near the Palm Desert High School. The other one is at Warner and Fred Waring, which is right by Gerald Ford Elementary School. So those are the 2 stops along Route 6 that goes through Indian Wells. And we're going to talk about those in a little bit. So that is the existing service. On the Route 1, it's 30-minute frequencies. Route 7, it's 45 and 60-minute frequencies. On Route 6, it's 60-minute frequencies. So just keep the fastest service Indian Wells gets right now is 30-minute service along Highway 111. So this is the first service scenario that we're going to be taking to the board of directors. And it's, again, ridership focused. And if you notice, the one thing that kind of stands out here is that red line that goes from Palm Springs all the way out to Coachella. That is 15-minute service. That is what we're proposing in this scenario. In this case, Indian Wells really benefits from the fact that headways get cut in half. So again, the best service you're getting today is 30-minute service along Highway 111. Under this scenario, following that red line, Indian Wells will get 15-minute service throughout the day, every day. 15-minute service. So it serves a lot of key locations clearly. You have the hospitals, you have retail, you have hotels. So a lot of workers will be able to get to and from work really quickly. And that's probably one message or one finding we're seeing right now as we go through phase 2 phase 2 engagement process is that folks are giving us comments like, hey, this 15-minute service would really help us. This means I don't have to get to work an hour early because the bus doesn't come that often right now. And in some cases, for people to get to work, they're going to have to catch that one bus that gets them to work on time. In some cases, that bus they're catching gets them to work like an hour early. So
this is on your agenda for July, is that
yes,
correct?
this is on our agenda for July.
Thank you.
And so this really is beneficial to those who really have a lot of life needs along Highway 111. This is the second scenario. It's coverage based. So it really looks very similar to what we have today. You have service that goes all the way out to North Shore. You have service all the way up to Desert Hot Springs. But if you notice, there's no red lines. They're all blue. And what that indicates there is that the best service you're going to get is 30-minute service. So Highway 111 goes back to being 30-minute service. And then the lighter blue lines represent 60-minute service. So under this scenario, what it also allows us to do is have more consistent service throughout the whole week. So right now we have like a mix of 90-minute service, 60-minute service, 45-minute service, 30-minute service. There's also gaps in the East Valley. So some of our routes that go out to North Shore and Mecca, there are gaps during the day. So citizens out there don't have access to the bus all day long. So there's more consistency under this scenario. And also the Sunride coverage expands a little bit. So the shaded tan areas, that represents our microtransit, which is Sunride. And again, Sunride is meant to fill in the gaps where the big buses don't go. And the one thing I do want to mention under ridership, there is no tan shaded areas. So under this scenario, we don't have the resources to provide Sunride. So really, this scenario is focused on improved fixed route service and then also paratransit. So these are the questions that are going to be put before our board members in July. And I wanted to share this with you just to give you a sense of what we'll be getting from our board of directors in July. And again, we're going to be asking them for feedback on the two concepts. And this is what we're also asking your citizens and the public throughout the Valley to give us feedback on as we do phase 2 public engagement process. We want them to tell us what they like about both. What do they dislike about both? And then, what fits your lifestyle the best? And if neither of them are desirable to you, where do you sort of sit on the spectrum? Are you in the middle? What I'm hearing from others is, they probably lean more towards coverage. And a lot of that has to do with paratransit service. There are a lot of folks in our communities who are retired, and they're in that phase of their life where paratransit is a security blanket. So if they can't drive, they have that. And so again, wherever the big bus goes, the little bus, meaning our paratransit bus, goes within 3/4 of a mile of that. And that service is reserved for those who are medically certified to be eligible for it. These are folks who don't have the cognitive or physical abilities to take public transit, the regular bus, that is. And so with that, I am happy to answer any questions. And that QR code will take you to the survey. So for any of you out there who would like to take the survey, and please, I encourage all of you to take the survey. Even if you don't take public transit, we would love to hear your feedback on how you would like for us to design our transit system in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Council, questions?
One question. First of all, before my question, Mona, your reputation precedes you, and it's a very good one.
Thank you.
So thank you for everything you do. If my memory serves me right, federal subsidies for transit operations are waning, and waning significantly. Do you have a plan to backfill the revenue that you're going to lose?
Yeah, so the vast majority of our operating funds actually comes from the state. So it's what they call local transportation funds, and it's the quarter-cent sales tax that is levied on everything you buy. So every time you buy something, you're actually supporting public transit. So that's the vast majority of the money. We fund our operating budget by about $30 million every year with LTF funds. But going back to your question, Councilmember Sanders, federal funds, we primarily use that for capital expenses. So when we buy buses, when we build infrastructure, that's what we primarily use our federal funding on. We do use about $5 to $6 million in formula funds, federal formula funds for operations. That actually comes through the Highway Trust Fund. There's contract authority. So that money right now it's sort of guaranteed.
Good.
What we're worried about though is the capital funds. So if we don't get capital funds, then we're looking at the money we use to operate our system to help fund those capital expenses. So that's where it gets a little tricky. But in terms of backfilling, again, noting that most of our federal funds goes to capital expenditures, what we might end up with is just deferred maintenance, making sure that our buses live as long as possible. Right now, the federal standard for the useful life of a bus is 12 years or 500,000 miles. We actually hit the 500,000 miles first because our service area is so large. But my staff does a really good job of trying to keep those things running for as long as possible. And we have some buses in our fleet that have 1 million miles on them.
Wow, 1 million miles.
Yeah, we try and not use those buses that often. Those buses don't do very well in the heat. That's when those buses don't do that well. But that's probably what may be the biggest impact to us. And it goes without saying that right now, what's tough is that we're seeing the more restrictions around how we use our capital funds, right? There's hydrogen and alternative fuels isn't a favorite right now at the federal level.
Thank you.
Any other questions? The couple that come to mind, hydrogen. You just touched
Yes.
on it. So how many of your buses are hydrogen now?
So in our active fleet, over 60% so our active fleet's about 50 buses. And we have right now 32 hydrogen buses. We'll be taking delivery of another 12 next year. So by the end of next year, pretty much our entire active fleet will be powered with hydrogen.
And your evaluation with some hindsight, is that a good thing?
Well, I got to tell you right now, we're very competitive with diesel. So 1 kilogram of hydrogen costs us about $13 per kilogram. And 1 kilogram is equivalent to 2 diesel gallons. Right now, a gallon of diesel is about $7 to $8. So we're very competitive right now. So if you were to look at today's world, I mean, hydrogen is, actually a pretty reasonable decision. And right now, we are consuming more hydrogen. We have 2 different ways of fueling at Sunline. We actually produce hydrogen, and we also take delivery. So the delivered hydrogen, though, is our preferred method of fueling because it's most efficient. And I can back up a whole line of buses. I can line up 32 buses and fuel them nonstop. Just send them right through. Whereas when we're producing, we can fuel some, then we have to stop, wait for it to produce more, and then fuel more. So the production facility that we have at Sunline is our security blanket, right? If we don't get a delivery on time, we're producing hydrogen and we're fueling buses. But and that production takes up a lot of electricity. So the cost per kilogram when we produce it is a little bit higher than it is when we get it delivered. And in that case, it's getting delivered in liquid form and we're heating it up. So it doesn't take as much energy because hydrogen naturally, the science behind it, naturally wants to expand and float up into the air and create that heat. So it takes less energy. It's a lot more efficient, but our consumption is going up. Supply is an issue. That's why we probably won't see our cost per kilogram go down anytime soon, unless more production facilities are built.
And then the second question I have is ridership. So ridership is down, not a pointed finger specifically at Sunline. It's down in all public transportation. I mean, the railways are screaming from loss of ridership, especially since COVID. You want to talk about that and,
Sure.
and how this may or may not address ridership?
No, absolutely. So right now our ridership is about overall system-wide about 2% down.
How much?
From where?
2%.
2%
So
down from what, last year?
yeah, from last year.
And where was it before COVID?
Before COVID, we provided a higher level of service, quite frankly. So before COVID, we're probably at 3 million. Last year, we're probably about 2.8. Now we're about 2.7. So that's kind of where it is. When we took a deeper dive, though, we noticed that most of our declines are happening out east. So our 1 EV, so it's actually the route that goes right through Indian Wells. If anyone takes it regularly here in Indian Wells, they're probably going to notice that they have more seats open. Route 2 that goes up to Desert Hot Springs, ridership is also. So what we're finding is that the declines in our system are really focused on where most of our immigrant communities reside. That's where we're seeing most of our declines. Over the last 2 months, when gas prices started to escalate, our ridership actually went up. That's the one thing we noticed. So there is a correlation between gas prices and ridership on public transit. So, so by the end of this fiscal year, what I'm guessing is we will be about 2% down. That's probably where we're going to land. And this is a helpful process because for us to fix the ridership problem, we have to understand where people need to go and what they need out of our system. So this is a perfect opportunity to kind of revisit all of that and make sure that as we make service changes moving forward, we're responsive to what people need.
You have a question, Dan?
There is definitely a correlation between ridership and gas prices, but the real correlation, as I understand it from years of working in this area, is parking. And we have free parking
Yes.
everywhere, so there's no incentive to take public transportation. Whereas in those areas where parking is expensive, that usually is the driver. So I'm not suggesting that we put in parking meters, but we just have to realize that the incentive to use public transportation is not the same here as it is in other areas.
You're absolutely right, Councilmember Reed. So definitely, it's interesting you say that. I was just talking to someone about that. A lot of our ridership is driven by public policy. So to the extent that our policymakers, make decisions and drive, the decisions that you make really influence how people travel, how they behave, how they go about their lives every day. When there's certainly, you're absolutely right. Free parking, big parking lots, wide streets, it's an invitation to drive and also design. As we're going through this public engagement process, I run into a lot of folks who have moved here from metropolitan areas. I don't know how many times I've met people who told me, hey, I used to live out in the Bay Area and during COVID, I moved down here. And they love it down here, but they wish the public transit system was easier to use. But what's hard is that when you're spending $50 million on an area like this, it's harder to provide good public transit service when I'm providing service with $50 million in a footprint like this. So, it's also, design. It's also how we build our roads, giving preference to buses. So, to that extent, thank you I'm sorry for, for tagging on and dragging this conversation out. But, as policymakers, as you continue to make decisions around how you design your community, please know that the way our communities are designed significantly influence how services are used, like transit and other things. So thank you very much. Sorry to step up on my soapbox.
No, thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
All right.
And good luck with your process.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next up, legislative update from Cal City's Riverside County Regional Division Manager, Jesse Ramirez. How are you, Jesse?
Hello. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, council members, and staff.
I have a quick update for you guys. I sent out a couple action alerts this week. One this morning. I want to run through a couple bills that are we've been monitoring closely while they go through the Senate. But more importantly, talk about one of the letters I just sent out. Cal Cities recently signed on to a tort reform letter. I had sent that out I think this earlier this week, and then again this morning. What we're looking for are cities to sign on with us to that letter. Cal Cities is looking for really three basic changes to this conversation: defined benefits, proportional liability for economic damages, heightened evidentiary and procedural standards. Obviously, as you all know, these are conversations that would happen within the policy committee. Johnny has been working with several assembly members to potentially carry a bill for something like this next year. So these are conversations that will be happening here later this year and moving into 2027. This is also something that came up at our last meeting, our joint meeting. We had Sheriff Bianco, Sheriff Dykes, Chief Larry Gonzalez from the city of Riverside, Lieutenant Hutchinson from Palm Springs. And we were kind of discussing a slew of different obstacles that our law enforcement departments are facing. And this came up. So it's somewhat of a timely, idea for Cal Cities to jump on board with. But that's something that I just wanted to make sure I put on your radar. I'll start with community services. We have SB 1314. This would basically require smoke shops to stay away 600 feet from schools. Same ordinance that if you might be familiar with certain cannabis retailers. These folks are selling, some of these folks, I don't want to say all of them, are selling nitrous oxide and other dangerous synthetic drugs. And so what this bill does is really try to minimize that around schools. That's something that we're supporting, and we're actually hoping gets to the governor's desk. We also have SB 1218, which is another bill that our lobbyist Melissa's worked hard on. This will require the California Department of Motor Vehicles to assess you with penalties and administrative fees for dumping. So if your license plate gets caught dumping illegally and you go to renew your tags, you're not going to be able to do that without paying those fees. This is something that obviously here in Riverside County, we have a lot of open land, and it's been an issue out in my area as well. So something that our division is definitely supporting. Next one, we have AB 1383, which is relating to public employees' retirement benefits. This is a bill that we've discussed heavily in policy committee. We understand the political sensitivities in this bill. Johnny's been doing a great job, and just to give you all an update, he's probably met with about 4 of I think it's the 9 senators on appropriations committee. We met with Sayardo and Cervantes this last week to express our position on this. Obviously, again, we understand the political sensitivities around it, but it's our job to, I guess, work with CalPERS in making sure that cities understand the total cost and liability for cities if this bill is adopted. So again, that has to do with public employees' retirement benefits and public safety members. And really just, again, our biggest concern is raising the pensionable compensation cap for PEPRA employees. It's not just public safety, it's all of them. And so that's something that we feel obligated to make sure cities know. One last bill here under planning and zoning, AB 2296, which is a planning and zoning housing element bill. This will allow cities 6 months early. They will be able to start the 6 months earlier the process for their housing element. This is something that actually came through a lot of work with Brady and multiple of our cities. During that HCD audit, I think this is one of the bills that came out of it. So thank you all for working with us on that. Essentially, what we said was, hey, if you're going to keep moving around the goalpost, and you need to be flexible with the timeline. So this gives us 6 months to go ahead and get started on that process. The other two last bills, one on housing. We have AB 956. This is a bill that we've been monitoring, and we think we can get enough momentum to get shelved. This measure would require local governments to ministerially approve 2 detached accessory dwelling units. in a residential or mixed use zone. We are obviously strongly opposed to that. It did get through committee, and so we're hoping to see if we can connect with some of our senators to make sure that stays in the Senate and doesn't come back. The last one is organized metal theft, AB 1941 Gonzalez. This would basically establish a statewide data sharing tool that would allow cities to see where there's organized theft and repeat offenders. I know here in Riverside County it was an issue. I don't know if it still is, but it's either way we're co-sponsoring it, and our executive committee was excited about sponsoring this bill. So just wanted to put that on your radar.
That also increases the penalty for theft too.
Correct. It sure does. It increases the penalty and it targets those that have been caught once or twice already. So just a couple quick reminders. There were some calendar changes. July 16th, we have an economic development workshop in the city of Corona. We have a couple city managers flying in from other cities to talk about some economic development tools that they've used, EIFDs, and just different strategies that they've used. This is mainly targeting city management and economic development directors. That's July 16th. And then July 23rd, BBK will be hosting a clerks workshop. So it's just a refresher for our city clerks to get caught up and better understand some of the moving parts going into 2027, but more importantly, just refresh them on some of the stuff here. So that's all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council, anybody have any questions?
Just one question. The metal theft bill, is that designed to target construction sites, for example, where copper wiring is being stolen and things like that?
It's meant to target recycling centers. And so what we're planning to do is put a data sharing tool in place. For instance, if Riverside County Sheriff's gets the same recycling center with the same clientele that's already been reported in another area, it makes it easier to communicate within those agencies and then start imposing fines on those recycling centers if they keep doing that. So, yeah. It's not targeting the construction folks at all.
And any critical kind of AI bills that are?
We do have some AI bills. Let me see here. Let me pull up Johnny's. CalPERS. It's give me a second. We have several of them that we're monitoring right now. Artificial intelligence, yes. AB 1883, workplace surveillance tools. This measure would prohibit public agencies from using security systems and expose them to fines and financial liability and impose significant costs and administrative burdens without any resource and little time to come into compliance. This is a bill that Cal Cities is opposing. This is a AB, again, 1883, Bryan Workplace Surveillance Tools. SB 947, McKinney Employment Automated Decision Systems. We're also opposed to that. We have SB 951, Reyes, Employment, also dealing with technological displacement. This measure would require employees to provide at least 90-day advance written notice before any reduction in hours termination caused in whole or substantial part by the use of artificial intelligence. Interesting conversations and topics. We got AB 2656, Petrie Norris, Public Employees Notice of Artificial Intelligence Performing Services Within the Scope of Work. SB 1159, Cabalden, Artificial Intelligence in Transparency and Governance. This measure would provide that the purpose, basically the Brown Act and all Brown Act, CEQA, Administrative Procedure Act, Political Reform Act do not include artificial intelligence systems, agents, robots, or other non-human entities. And I never thought I'd have to say that from as an update, but here we are. That is one that we are supporting. We're opposing AB 2656. And almost all of these other ones we're opposing. But the one AI bill that we are supporting is SB 1159. And again, you can't have an artificial intelligence member as a part of a committee or such, or use that technology for such. So, yeah, a lot on AI. So
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Happy
Anybody
to
else have
answer
any questions? Thank you very much, Jesse. You do a good job representing us all. in Sacramento, and I appreciate your time. This moves to public comments. And so, Angelica, do we have public comments today?
Yes, I do have 2 speaker cards under the general business. I have Barbara Gonzalez, followed by Frank Figueroa.
Okay. Barbara. There you go. Welcome.
Hello there.
Just a reminder, 3 minutes, and please state your name.
Hello. Sorry, I'm short. Barbara Gonzalez here, Indian Wells resident at your affordable housing at the Mountain View Villas. Thank you so much for providing that opportunity. I was on the wait list for 7 years, and I was happy to get in 2021. The reason I'm here is because I have now retired, no longer working, so can really not afford the 60% level of when I moved in. Because now I'm on a fixed income, I asked the community manager of that facility, how does it work to get down to the 50% level? And is there a waiting list? And she said that it's not available, that only specific units are under that program, and there is no wait list. And so if I were to, she said something about that only goes to the person who's been living here the longest. Do they have that opportunity? Again, how that works, she did not explain. My question, and she also said that if one becomes available, if I were to do that, I would have to vacate the present apartment that I'm in, move into that one, start all over with first month's and deposit of whatever the current rate is at that time. So my question is on policy, why is it that there is no wait list? How is that determined which specific unit should be at 50% versus 60? And if I were to do the 50%, why do I have to move out of my current apartment and start all over again on a fixed income? At that time, I would not be able to afford the move-in cost, let alone move out, transportation and packing and all of that. So I'm sorry, this is my first time at this meeting, so I'm not sure
No
how the
apologies
protocol
necessary.
goes. So that's why I know it's not on your agenda for today, but I just wanted to bring it up because I just found out about this 2 weeks ago.
Sure. And thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming. I would come too. So, yes, noted. What we'll do is we'll have city staff look into this particular matter, and we'll proceed directly with you.
Okay.
And so thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Okay, thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Absolutely. Do I need to write down anything?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So there you go. All right. Next up, Mr. Mayor, come on down and welcome to the city of Indian Wells.
Buenos tardes a todos. Coachella, where 97% of my residents are Latino, and we're working class, right? And so I'm just here to talk about the op-ed. When I learned there was going to be an op-ed about data centers, I didn't expect it to come from Indian Wells, of all places. But at the end of the day, we're all colleagues. We all sit on different commissions, and we don't get involved in people's things. Me and Dana sit on a commission together. I also sit with Brian on a different one, and me and the mayor sit on one as well. And I think the big thing is the city of Coachella made a mistake. And I'm here as a resident of Coachella. I lived in Coachella all my life, and we made a mistake. But, at the end of the day, data centers, the op-ed was, it's personal, it's their own opinion. And then the whole uproar created. I sat through city council meetings till 1 a.m. in the morning one time. You want to come to a 1 a.m. in the morning meeting with me? I would let you all join. But I think what's very important, right, is that we're all colleagues and we don't get involved in people's things. And the residents of Indian Wells, I talked to some of them back there, and I think the big piece is no one wants this data center. And we move forward. And there were speakers that day in multiple meetings of our city that they said no to data centers. And they were just all from Coachella. You had people from all the way from 1,000. You had people all the way from 29 Palms driving down the hill on the 62 to tell us, do not build this thing here. And I think at the end of the day is we're one valley. We live in the Coachella Valley. And the most important part here is I just came to Indian Wells to have breakfast with someone. We all traverse through there is no boundaries here. We all live in one valley. We go hiking, we shop, we interact, we have friends all over. And I think the most important part is the city of Coachella knows what it needed. and it did a mistake. I personally own the vote, but to have other people say, "Well, you're going to miss out on this tax income," I know that we have a low tax community. That's because we don't have a hotel. We have certain things, and we're trying to work on that. And it's been harder because we live in the East Valley, where my parents were farm workers, and I lived and grew up on the Corky Larson farm on Avenue 56 and Airport Boulevard, and I remember those days. And I think the most important part is that people don't want artificial intelligence to take over the world, and we heard it that they don't want it at the FPPC either. But I think the biggest piece that we have here is we want our community to stay nice and vibrant. So when we wake up every morning, we see those pretty mountains, we hear the birds, we can able to go walk, we can go and play golf, we can go and play in our parks with our families. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be listening to humming, but also we don't want our water to go away. And I think that's the big thing. We live in a desert, and the access to water here is scarce. We're already having a water scarcity, and we tell people no watering. But then, a 240-acre data center is going to suck up tons of water. So with that, thank you. And I just wanted to say that at the end of the day, we all live here, and we want to make sure that we're elected by our people and make sure that we just continue in our spaces. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for your thoughts. Very much appreciated. You're always welcome. All right. We go to, are there any more public comments? I believe I saw one potentially.
We have two under the item that we just pulled for G6. So we can
Okay.
take them after the staff report. If you want to take them right now, we can. Mayor,
Let's take them now.
you want to take them now?
Yeah.
We have Ginny Whitman and Carlin Neal.
Hi, good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, council members, Chris Freeland, staff. Thank you for having me here today. I am the secretary of the Indian Wells Preservation Foundation, and I've been asked by my colleagues to come here today and express our support and appreciation to the city for bringing the matter of the neighborhood sign project to the front. And we completely support the recommendations that are in the staff report that you're going to have today. Also, I have to thank in particular Councilmember Greg Sanders and Mayor Pro Tem Brian Penna, who have served on the ad hoc committee that helped tremendously to bring this matter forward. Also, the city staff and Angelica, I think maybe in particular, she helps with everything we do, and I just couldn't thank her and the rest of the staff more. We're excited about this project and our collaboration with the city, and look forward to making it all happen and helping in any way that we can. So that's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments. One more? Come on down.
Good afternoon, council, staff. Thanks for having me.
Please state your name.
I'm getting there. Carlin Neal. I'm the owner of the Desert Bel Air Showcase home that was the first to receive National Register of Historic Places nomination. I'm very excited about this initiative, celebrating our history and the pride of our city by the neighborhood designations. I just wanted to give some design feedback to the city. I know that you're going to carry this program out with over 2 decades of design leadership. I want to make sure that the toppers are extremely readable. So I would recommend having the 1 or 2 colors only and having it very simple and bold so that it's readable. I've seen toppers in Palm Springs that were bronze and black with the sun fading. You couldn't even read it. So let's make sure we get this right. I do actually prefer the original design, simplified, removing that orange color, removing all borders. So it's just bold, easy to read. As you're driving, walking, we want everyone to be able to read it. So thank you very much. And I'm very excited to implement this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Does that end public comment? Okay, then we're on to the next. City manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. I have nothing to add today.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. City attorney.
Mayor and council, as you know, the council met in closed session earlier today to discuss the items described on the agenda, and no action was taken that needs to be reported under the Brown Act. I don't have anything else to report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now we go to the consent calendar. Do I have do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar? With the adjustments?
With the exception.
Yeah, with the exceptions.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second the motion.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So we pulled, as I recall, G8.
We have G6 and then G8.
Okay, great. So let's talk about G6.
I move the recommended action.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the recommended action. Does anybody have any discussion here? Any public comment other than what we've just heard? Okay. Any discussion? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. All right, now we go to G8, I believe, right? Here we go. Authorize the Highway 11 drought tolerant landscape project. Do we have any discussion here?
Well, Mr. Whitman.
I have a question,
Very good.
and I don't know if Ms. Purvis is.
She's on.
Oh, there she is.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I just have a couple of questions about the staff report. As I understand the staff report, there's not a new staff report. It's the one that was presented to us on November 6th last year. Is that right?
There is a new staff report for today and an attachment of last year's staff report.
Okay. So the question I have is, we have a budget, at least according to the staff report, we have a budget of $1,070,000. Is that for design and construction?
This is just for construction.
Okay. And so we had a design
We did.
performed, and that was paid for separately.
Correct.
Okay, so what we have left is to do construction, and we have a $650,000 grant, and the rest of it the city will pay.
Correct.
Now, I found it a little inconsistent that the bid we got for construction was $5 million.
Correct. That was to use outside forces.
Okay,
So we chose to use inside forces, our own staff, with vendor support to bring the cost down.
okay. Now, when you said bring the cost down, as in the report, are we going to bring it down to our budget amount? Is that the idea?
That is correct.
Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you.
All right. I motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Does anybody have any public comment on this? Anybody like to make any statement? Okay. Back to the table. Any other further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Passes unanimously. Now we go to the, what, public hearings, huh? G11 or public hearings? I thought we were on public hearings.
Public hearings H1.
Yeah, H1. Okay. So, public hearings. The number one issue here is annual public hearing of the resolution on refuse collection and recycling service rates. Do we have a presentation here?
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. For your consideration of the day is the adoption of our new rubbish levy. The new monthly amount will be $40.23 per parcel, and this represents an increase of 95 cents over last year. With that, the city still maintains the excellent rubbish services I've outlined in the staff report, including our now famous side yard and backyard pickup. With that, we ask that the mayor open the public hearing, take any public comment, close the hearing, and simply adopt the resolution ordering the levy and the collection of the assessments. And of course, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Short and sweet. Does anybody have any comment?
No, you need to open the public hearing.
Any comment here from us? Any questions for him? No. Okay. Any public comment on the matter? Okay.
Excuse me, you have to open the public hearing.
Oh, I'm opening the public hearing. The public hearing is now open.
No comments.
Does anybody have any comments? Okay. Does the public hearing need to remain open for a period of time? Or shall we close the public hearing? The public hearing is now closed.
Move adoption.
Thank you, Dana.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. Very good. All right, now we are on general business, as I recall. And we're going to, the consideration of a resident golf rate adjustment methodology for the Indian Wells Golf Resort. Kevin McCarthy, I believe you have a presentation.
I do. Thank you again, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Let's talk about resident golf rates. So as part of your discussion today, we're going to lay out 4 council options that you'll need to consider by the time we're done our presentation. I've laid them out here. And the reason I've laid them out in advance is I'd like you to think about them as we have our discussion. So in May, during the budget study session, the City Council asked this item to come back for public discussion in June. And it was a pretty narrow focus. It was focused on really specifically the resident rate that they pay for golf, plus associated or tied back to the actual cost that the golf resort has to pay in order to produce a round of golf. So there's a very narrow focus here. We're not talking about any food and beverage or orchestral services, anything regarding or building maintenance or any G&A. This is really just a focused discussion on the cost of golf and the resident rate. And so, as you know, resident rates have changed over time. And the most recent time was during the 2017-2018 fiscal year, when a previous council increased the seasonal rate from $35 to, you see, $50. It's been that rate ever since. And then also they've elected to keep the $35 rate in place. Now, many folks believe that the $35 rate came into origin during the original formation of the golf resort in 1986, and that's not really the case. It wasn't until 1993 when a previous council put together what was called the the complementary golf or reduced golf fee policy. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. And so when they put that original policy together in early of 1993, it actually didn't even include resident as part of the reduced golf rate. It wasn't until several months later that council actually came back and added residents as part of that for the reduced golf fee rate. And the way it reads in the policy is that the residents will pay 70% of the rack rate, not to exceed $35. So I can imagine back in 1993, 70% of the rack rate was $35, and that number has not moved since that date. One of the things that the council also asked us to look at are what are the primary drivers relative to the cost of golf? How is the cost of golf formed, and what are the items that are part of that expense? And as you can see here, I've listed out 6 items. Number 1 being labor, which is the absolute lion's share of all the other costs. Utilities, fertilizers, sand and seeds. You certainly have equipment maintenance, but the lion's share of everything we're doing, it's such a labor-intensive business, is the amount of folks we have working at the golf resort in golf maintenance and the amount of money that they receive as a salary. So looking at the historical golf trends, again, since that time where we've last changed the golf rate, golf shop and maintenance expenditures were about $6.3 million. Today, they're about $9.4 million. It represents an average annual increase of about 5% per year. One of the things that the council also wanted us to do is look at the historical round of golf and compare that to the resident golf rate per round. And again, as I mentioned, a previous council increased the rate in the 2016 or 17, 18 fiscal year. So by 2019, this first year here, this is the first year that new rate was implemented. And what you have now for the very first time with a resident golf rate is a blended rate of those two. And you can see it in 2019 at about $41. And flash forward to 2027, that number is identical to the same. It's about $41 in 2027. When the new golf rate was set, the cost of golf, the amount of golf that we'd have to pay to produce a round of golf back in 2019 was $80 or $81. And by 2027, it has increased to $123. Council also wanted us to look at what were the percent changes or the cost increases in golf rates and the cost per round since 2019. So the cost per round to produce a round of golf since 2019 has roughly increased about 48% since then. Hotel resident rates, as you can see, are very flat, around 2% growth over this whole time. The hotel golfers are now paying per round 106% more than they were paying in 2019. And the same with outside play, which is now slightly over 200% more than they were paying in 2019. Another question that this council asked us to look at is if they were going to increase the resident rate by an annual index, which index should they choose? So you can see here, we did a 5-year analysis, and the very first index is called CPI. I think we're all familiar with that. This index is specific to Southern California and even more specific to the Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ontario area. And over the last 5 years, we've averaged about a 4.8% increase. The next two indexes, the construction index, is a national index, and over time, in the last 5 years, it's averaged about a 6.5% increase. And the last index you may be less familiar with, it is a labor index called ECI. It's really used mostly in the hotel industry and resort industry when you're talking about labor costs for leisure businesses. This would be ideal for the labor costs of the golf resort, so on and so forth. And over the last 5 years, it's had a 4.2% increase. The last thing that the council asked us to do was, give us a set of adjustment or parameters that we could consider as part of today's discussion. So again, we're asking you to consider whether you want to choose an index or a fixed amount, or maybe you do both. Maybe you adjust the rate one time and then set it to an index after that. And then also, when does that become effective? So would you like it effective at the beginning of each fiscal year? That would be my recommendation. Maybe there's another time that you'd like that. Also, is there a minimum amount and a maximum rate that you'd like us to put in or consider something like that? And then finally, does this is based on both the $35 rate and the $50 rate, or would you like us just to look at one rate? And then finally, my last point here is, are you really going to charge a resident $52.68 for a round of golf, or is it okay just to round up to the nearest whole dollar? So with that, these are your council options. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. We have golf staff here, and our senior management is here as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Does anybody have any question?
I do have a question. So why are we visiting changing the rate? What is the driving reason behind it? Because I think that's the big question that everyone's asking is why? Why are we doing this?
So in May, council gave us direction to continue looking at this, and today is answering the council's question relative to the historical cost of golf, how that has changed versus the historical resident rate of golf over that same period.
Okay, so that's, or do we have a shortfall? Is there any other alternative reason why we're doing it? Because there has to be, it's just supply and demand here means over dollars. What are we trying to accomplish here by increasing our rate? What are we doing?
Well, that's a question for us.
Right.
Staff is just responding to our.
I get it, but
Okay, well, could I just
is there
point
that's
out this is well, never mind.
no? So that's your complete answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes. So Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. The T sheet on a daily basis is divided into thirds. Hotels, residents, the public, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. During the height of the season, let's say February, March, and April, isn't it true that for the public section of the T sheet, given the dynamic pricing model that we use, we're selling tee times for as much as $350 during the prime tee time period, which would be in the morning?
Yes, sir. We reached those numbers this year, sir.
So in addition to the numbers that you showed us, if we were not a city, simply running this as a for-profit business, wouldn't we call that an opportunity cost? In other words, we're giving 1/3 of the tee sheet to golfers for $50 a round, whereas the demand indicates that those rounds are worth $350 a round. Opportunity cost.
I'm familiar with that, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Question?
I have a couple questions. Reading the staff report, the staff report initially goes to state that the purpose of this meeting, and maybe this answers your question, is for public discussion and for a policy decision by council. Isn't that's how your staff report begins?
Ideally, this is, yes.
And I, as I understand what you mean by that, is that we are not in a position of fiscal necessity to increase these rates. And in fact, I think you say later that an increase, as suggested under any of these methodologies, would not have a significant impact on profitability, revenues, or anything of that nature.
Thank you, Councilmember Whitman. Just for one small correction with that is that, yes, it would be a very small increase if, for instance, we just used an annual index. If there is a one-time adjustment, that could, relative to all of golf, it's still insignificant, but it would be a greater cost if the council elected to do a combination of a one-time rate adjustment coupled with an annual multiplier.
Okay, so that's not what the staff report says, quote, no future rate increase method will materially affect profitability. That seems a little bit different than what you just...
No, yeah, if staff reports material, then the answer is correct.
Okay. And the staff report goes on to say that the rate of $35, and I believe you just said this, was set in 1993. And as it's stated, 70% of the rack rate, comma, I think you said, not to exceed $35 per round for residents.
That's correct.
And that was in 1993. That is what, how many years ago? That's 33 years ago. So you've been here for how long?
I've been here completing 28 years of those 33.
Okay. So I assume that since I've been here for 12 years, that this matter of resident golf rate has come up multiple times. And multiple councils have discussed this, and multiple golf resort advisory committees have discussed this. And I know you've been to many of those meetings and to the council meetings where this occurred. And I assume this happened in councils from 1993 to 22 when I came on council. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I went and looked at the United States Inflation Index from 1993 to today. And I don't know if you're familiar with it in detail, but just generally, would you agree that every year since 1993, there's been an inflationary increase in the United States?
I'm not familiar with that index, but yes, sir, we've had inflation since 1993. I can verify that.
So other councils have been presented with the facts, as you've stated here, that there have been increases in the costs, inflationary increases in the cost of running the golf resort.
Every year, sir, there are some inflation. Yes, the answer is yes.
And yet 33 councils before us have chosen not to increase the $35 rate per round. Is that correct? Other than in 2017. Now, in 2017, I was on the golf resort committee. The golf resort was in a catastrophic financial position back then, correct?
Yes, sir. We lost money that year for sure.
But in the last several years, we've made money. I mean, we're profitable.
Since the reformation of the Troon Agreement in 2022, 2023 year, yes, sir, we've been profitable every year since.
And so the only time that any council has raised the rate since 1993, regardless of any inflation rate in the United States or in the Valley, was in 2017 when there was a fiscal necessity to do so. Is that correct?
All that is correct. I don't recall the connection between the fiscal necessity and the rate increase, but yes, to answer your question, there was fiscal necessity and a previous council increased that rate.
And I believe you said in your report that there is no fiscal necessity right now this year.
There is no, we're operating profitably.
Okay. So that even includes the years 2005, 2007, when you were here, when the city spent upwards of $75 million to build the new clubhouse and redo both courses. Still, that council didn't increase the rate. Correct?
That's correct.
So I think this, there's another issue here that I've heard with respect to the $35 rate, and that is the increase in home values in Indian Wells over other Valley cities because of the golf benefit for residents that is so attractive.
Is this a question?
Yeah, it is.
You're going to pose.
I'm going to answer the question. Yes.
Okay. All right.
And so my question is did you, when you were investigating, this financial situation with the resident greens fees, did you go and do any evaluation or analysis of the impact that the $35, $50 greens fee has on home values in Indian Wells versus other cities in the Valley?
No, sir, I have not done that analytical work.
Okay. But you do know that home values in Indian Wells are substantially higher than in other Valley cities, correct?
Yes, sir, they are.
I'm going to go circle back to, and I think it's an appropriate question. As I understand from the report, you're not making a staff recommendation at all today, correct?
No, sir. This is a policy discussion among the council members.
Right. And so would it be correct to ask you a question that Brian asked? What is the motivating factor that you believe causes us to need to raise our rate at all? Or is that?
I don't really want to have I think that's more of a policy discussion.
Okay.
I will tell you that as I responded to Mayor Pro Tem Penna, that we were directed by council to bring back factual data for additional analytical work, and we've done that. I guess, quite honestly, I didn't question the motive as to why the request was coming in. I just responded to it.
Okay. All right. So I have no further questions. Only to say that that was at the budget meeting that request was made, and the vote was 3-2. Correct?
I don't remember the vote, but it was at the budget meeting. Yes, sir, you're correct.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I have a couple. Is it true that in the past few years, especially in light of the new contract that we have with Troon, where the incentive is there to be profitable, that the golf courses had to cut back on staff taking care of the golf course?
Yeah, overall, I do believe there was some reduction in staff during that period. Yes.
And even in the, say, past 10 years, I believe the staff has been significantly reduced, maybe by even as much as 1/2. And if there's someone here who can speak to that, if you don't have the answer, I would like to hear that.
That is true. So during the time we opened and the commuting years after we opened the renewed golf resort, when we rebuilt it and had the first grand opening of the celebrity course and the players golf course, we had somewhere between 76 and 78 staff members in the maintenance department. And in the ensuing years, as the golf resort was losing money, one of the results that both council and the operator collaboratively put together was a reduction in the amount of staff in order to mitigate the losses that were occurring.
And since the course has been profitable, I guess the last, 3 years, I think, have any of those staff been added back, or has there been a dramatic increase to get back the staff to its fiscally difficult years?
So I think to answer that, I believe, and I know that our general manager, Robin Graff, is here, so he can correct me if I'm wrong. But the ensuing year, the budget year that you've just adopted, the 26-27 year, I believe this is the first time we've added 2 maintenance positions into the maintenance department.
Okay, excellent.
And it totals 42, I think. In total, we'll have 42 maintenance positions this year.
Okay. And I believe there was also recently the need, let's say, to install some large adult trees to positively impact safety on the new players course. What's the cost of a tree?
So the new the cost of a tree varies on the size, but the trees that you're talking about are around $20,000 to $25,000 installed per a piece.
Each. Okay.
So again, very adult trees, but they're very large. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
One follow-up question. Isn't it true that as a result of cutting back on the maintenance staff, we had a lot of landscaping deferred maintenance that accrued and was not corrected until maybe 2022 or thereabouts? Is that correct?
That's correct. And the primary areas of the deferred maintenance were in the surrounding roughs in the adjacent areas around the golf course. So I'll just, for general terms, call it the edges of the golf course or in some of the Barranca. Councilmember Sanders, another point that I think it's fair to make while under your question is that the entire care of the golf course had diminished purposefully over those years. So flower bed areas were replaced with mulch areas. And you can see that quite easily when you look at photos specifically of the Celebrity Golf Course between 2007, 2010, and then compare those photos to what you see today. There is a reduction in flower components and other items that require quite a bit of maintenance to maintain. Those items, again, were done purposefully to reduce the amount of staffing required in order to reduce maintenance costs.
And so wasn't there a period of catching up on the deferred maintenance? And if so, how much did that cost us and where did that money come from?
So it comes out of golf course operations. So the golf course operations is paying for that. And it came largely out of having a dedicated person on the maintenance team, as well as contract labor that goes and does a lot of that work for us.
I was asking more generally, where did the money come from? With the golf resort losing money, that deficit was backfilled from where?
I'm sorry. Prior to 2022, that was backfilled by the general fund.
Okay, so
sorry about that.
The general fund, we get monies from various sources, but the general fund includes our share of property tax money, sales tax money, et cetera, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, so is it not fair to say that non-golfers and those golfers who don't use the golf resort were subsidizing the golf resort?
It's very fair to say, especially from the period between 2010 and 2022.
And all the while, golfers with a golf resident benefit card were paying $35 a round for a lot of that time when the golf resort was losing money during the off season, and $50 a round during the season.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll open up the
I
public
just have
comment.
one more
Yeah,
follow-up.
sure.
So in regard to Mayor Taylor's question about how much a tree costs and the type of trees that need to be planted for $25,000 a tree, do we still have a surplus left over from the redesign?
The redesign of the Players Golf
Yes.
Course? Right. So sorry about that. Yeah. So we finished the year with a surplus of about $350,000 that wasn't used. Those monies, about $225,000 of those monies have, by the council, have been allocated to do things like the public safety items that the mayor alluded to.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I have another follow-up question. With respect to maintenance employment, would you agree that part of the staff reduction is because of new technology that we've had, the ability to buy as a capital improvement, and that it's more efficient and will cover more areas, including the sand traps on Players Course by modifying the sand traps? Is that true?
I'm not, Councilmember Whitman, I'm not completely comfortable. I don't know that I'm qualified from the technology basis, but I will tell you that I've been in a number of discussions where we have improved the maintenance of the golf course, like redoing the Players and the upcoming redoing of the Celebrity, where there are discussions about reducing things, to your point, like sand traps that would, reduce maintenance cost of doing that, and so on and so forth.
That would reduce the number of employees that are needed if we have new technology, if we reduce the size of traps and so on.
If you reduce the replacing sand traps with grass reduces maintenance costs.
Okay. Secondly, you talked about the outside of the golf course that there's been some cost in some deferred maintenance. We hired a independent contractor, Leon's, to engage in that maintenance on a contract basis, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And how many employees are working for Leon's on our golf course?
I am not really sure. I can get back to you with that question.
Okay.
On my first estimate, I think it's between 4 and 6 employees.
Okay.
But not every day. I would have to get back to you with that.
Okay, so that's work that city employees used to do before a couple years ago when we hired Leon's.
It was work that when we were up at 70 employees, it was work that the management company used to do.
The management company,
Yeah.
right? It would be Troon employees essentially now.
It used to be, and now it's contract.
Okay. So we are hiring. You said now we've hired 2 new maintenance workers. Are there any plans to hire more now that we're profitable?
I think there are as we go forward, especially when we start unveiling the rollout of the new celebrity golf course, and looking for council direction on where we land with especially the landscape improvements.
Okay. So you're not making the case here financially as a fiscal matter that increasing our resident greens fee by $2 or $3 is going to pay for all the deferred maintenance for $25,000 trees, for new employees. Is that a fiscal necessity that you expect to come out of this small increase in the resident greens fees?
Councilmember Whitman, I'm actually not tying this in any way, shape, or form to fiscal necessity. I think this is just a policy discussion. Should the council move forward with changing the rate or not? I've not made that argument.
There have been a bunch of questions about the maintenance and deferred maintenance. I just wonder if we were going to dedicate any money that we got from increasing resident greens fees to deferred maintenance. Is that going to be a dedicated fund, or do we have any plans?
I've not heard that. So I would just imagine it would roll through the regular, unless otherwise directed by the council. This would just roll through the profit and loss statement of the operations of the golf.
And if we did increase the greens fee by $2, let's say next year, based on some type of index, how much more money would that bring in compared to how much money the operated revenues are of the golf resort as a percentage?
So if $2 on 20,000 resident rounds would be about $40,000.
And what is the budget for the entire golf resort for the year?
The maintenance budget is $9.4 million, which includes maintenance and the golf shop budget.
And then the budget itself, the entire golf resort budget, about $22 million?
20.
That's about right.
Just over 20 million this year.
So as a percentage of 22 million, can we find out what 40,000 would be as a percentage?
I'll do the math when I get a moment, but I can tell you it's very, very small.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Public comment.
Yes, we do have 2 comment cards. I will call up John Romer, followed by Carolyn Richard. I do want to also, for the record, we did receive written public comments from Douglas Hansen, Janice Gray, and Bev Hutton. So those will be included as part of the agenda record for today.
Thank you. Greetings.
Greetings. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, honorable council members. I'm John Romer. I've lived in town for nearly 20 years, and I had the privilege of serving on the Golf Resort Advisory Committee from 2016 to 2020. I served with Council Member Whitman on that, and based on your questions this afternoon, I wish you'd reconsider your decision not to run for re-election. One of the reasons I believe I was selected to be on the Golf Resort Advisory Committee was because I happened for the last 10 years, I've been a panelist for Golf Digest. So when they rate the top 100, second 100 golf courses in the country, I'm one of the panelists that fills out those evaluations. I've evaluated over 200 golf courses in the last 10 years. More than 50 of them are in the top 200. The criteria that Golf Digest uses when they evaluate a golf course are 6 things: shot values, layout variety, challenge, aesthetics, conditioning, and character. And I want to thank the mayor because he gave me the opportunity to have this discussion with him personally, but I feel so passionately about this that I wanted the whole council, as well as the city staff and residents, to hear my opinion on this. When I first played I played the Players Course the day it opened, and I walked off that golf course wowed. I couldn't believe that I just moved to a city where I had access to such a facility. I also I was in the penultimate group the day it closed, played that with Robin. And I played the new reimagined Players Course the second day it opened. Unfortunately, I walked off that Players Course the second day it opened. And just to be gentle, the words I would use are underwhelming and uninspired. The golf course, after its reimagination, based on the criteria that I outlined, has been diminished in every category. The value proposition of this resort should be that it's the premier public access course in the Coachella Valley. It's comparable to most and better than many private courses. That used to be the case. It no longer is. I regret that I was passive aggressive and assumed that this redesign was somehow in the best interest of the city. I really didn't pay much attention to the whole land swap issue and all of that. And I assumed that since we were using the original architect, he would want to burnish his reputation by improving his work. He succeeded in giving us a great walking golf course. Unfortunately, he also gave us a pedestrian golf course. Trees will not improve the golf course. They'll marginally improve safety. Shot values will actually be decreased because the corridors of the holes will be shorter and more narrow. And so, in essence, I'm really upset at how our money was spent and the product that we received for it. So that's my opinion as a golf course evaluator. So let's take a look at the facts. I suggest the council take a look at the rates we were getting this season for the Players Course, why we weren't getting $300, and take a look at the customer surveys and the feedback that players were giving us with respect to
Hey,
that.
Mr. Romer, you've reached your limit. If you can just close.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the question isn't, is a round of golf worth $50? We know it is. The real question is, why isn't a round on the Players Course worth $300? That's the question we need to be looking at, and I hope this council takes that seriously. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next public comment.
Yes, Carolyn Richard, followed by Ty Peabody.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Richard. I've been a resident since 2003 part-time, full-time since 2016. I retired in 2015, and I took up golf. Never played the game. It is my passion. The city actively promotes the benefits and perks of living in Indian Wells in various publications. City Council has historically pointed out the resident perks that have increased our property values over the other cities in the area by 15%. I personally don't understand why you want to gut the benefits that enhance our property values, and why do you pick the summer months of all of the months when nobody is here to take on that task? Don't understand that. It seems insincere and insensitive. Instead, why don't you pursue an increase in the transient occupancy tax, please? Or by 1%. That's going to give you a lot of money to do whatever you want with a golf course. These petty attempts of a rate increase and the ad nauseum are clouding the ambiance of this city that's touted as a quality of life. And as you mentioned, 33 years we've been doing this, year after year. It's got to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next public comment.
Yes, Ty Peabody, followed by Douglas Hanson.
Good afternoon. I didn't expect to get up and speak, but I've listened to this and I'm sort of sick and tired of hearing like what Bruce said about constantly having this discussion. What this council should be more worried about is what's wrong and what needs to be improved. We all brag about having $88 million in our general fund money. We should be proud of that. Everybody that was involved with that should be proud of that. Why with $88 million we're having this discussion is beyond my imagination. But you have bigger problems. For the last 6 months, golf rounds have been down. The question is why? Why did it happen? But nobody's asking that question. You lost $1 million of cash flow 2024 versus right now through April. Nobody's asking the question why. The food truck is not operated for 5 months. It's been very, very profitable. Why is nobody asking those questions? What bothers me is we're allowing things to happen. We've always been proud of being a Mercedes operation of a golf facility. It isn't that anymore. Anybody who believes that should be in the food industry and understand what an A-quality place is. We're not. So instead of dealing with these issues, this council needs to take a deep, hard look at what's going on. In the report, it says this has no financial value to raise these rates. Why are we even having this discussion? They also talk in the report of going from 38 maintenance people to 50. What analysis was put in this report that shows there's any justification for 50 more maintenance people? Bruce is right. Leon's took the place of maintenance people. The maintenance hasn't gone down. And if you talk to someone like Glenn Miller, who was the greenskeeper here for probably close to 15 years, you won't hear Glenn Miller say there's a need for any more people. So I say to the council, it's time to look at what's going on. Is there a way to improve it? You gave away 6 acres to the Renaissance that isn't even going to use the 6 acres that could have been used to increase more revenue and profit. That's what we should be talking about, not what are we doing to the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. Next comment.
Douglas Hanson.
Mr. Hanson.
I used to be faster, but then I got old.
Hopefully you can speak as fast.
Douglas Hanson, resident. I'm going to focus my discussion today on resident rates rather than what Mr. Peabody discussed. And if you look, the report, gentlemen, and I think you guys all know, you got my letter. You know where I come out on the issue. It's not about cost. It's not about what you're going to charge your residents. It's about the resident amenity that this city agreed to provide the residents, a $35 rate, in my opinion, okay? I think the city has an implied contract with the residents. The rate of $35 was not in the easement agreement, but it did talk about resident play in the easement agreement. But also what's in the easement agreement that you've totally ignored was the requirement by the hotels to take X amount of golf rounds every day, which they have not done. No one has required them to do that. And if you were to do an analysis of what they were required to pay, you would have and they paid it, there would not be a problem relative to revenue. It has been said, for every dollar the increase in resident rates on 20,000 rounds brings you $20,000. There's no way you can use a resident rate to overcome any kind of deficit that you're trying to fill, even though there's not a deficit. I mean, you have $88 million in reserves. And I said this before, you have $6.3 million in surplus this year. It's about quality of life in Indian Wells. It's about the amenity that the city agreed to provide the residents when the residents agreed to allow the city to spend $100 million on the renovation of the golf course in 2006. Okay? Focus on that. I hope that all of you have read the policy statement that was made in 2008, I believe it was, talking about the golf course and the relationship between the city, the golf resort, and the residents. It's worth reading, and it talks a lot about, but it's about the amenity. When you talk about, Greg, specifically the subsidization of golf, and we've talked about this before, in Palm Desert, they have a beautiful aquatic center. They charge to go into the aquatic center. They do not recover their cost of operations in that. But the tax dollars of every taxpayer in that city
Hi, Mr.
pays
Hanson, you've
for the
reached your
operation of that. So think about that in terms of our situation here. Furthermore, one more comment. The cost per round is a function of the amount of tee times that are played. In 2024, there was 80,000 rounds played, and the cost per round was $115. The projection for 2027 is 70,000 rounds and $143. So you can't just arbitrarily say that the cost per round is going up. The more rounds you play, and generally in the past, that golf course could handle 80 to 85,000 rounds.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it, Mr. Hanson. Appreciate that. Any other public comment? Okay. You have it. Would you like to come up and please come on back?
Carlin Neal, still a resident. I would like to up-level this conversation and ask, what problem are we solving here? Because clearly the revenue that we would achieve by raising these rates are really not going to have an impact. We have a surplus, and there are other ways we could achieve operational efficiency and raise more monies than putting this on the residents. I think the cost that we would make in solving this problem the wrong way with raising rates on people that are very passionate about golf, making that wrong decision, I think will have higher costs. So I would encourage the council to think about this and really what problem are we solving by raising these rates? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Back to council for discussion. Let's see. Anybody want to go first?
Well, don't we need a motion first?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to motion that we move this to October when it's more appropriate, when we have a full quorum of the residents here. I think doing this in June is a disservice to everyone in the city. That's my motion.
Okay.
Well, for purpose of discussion, I'll second that motion.
Okay. So that means we want to have a discussion on the pushing the conversation to the fall versus addressing the conversation that we've now all heard.
I call the question.
Okay. Does anybody else have any further questions about that?
Roll call, please.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Whitman,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
No.
Councilmember Sanders,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Penna,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
No. Okay, so let's have a conversation about the actual rates.
Don't we need to have a motion?
Let's have a motion.
Sure. For purposes of discussion only, I move the staff recommend. Oh, no, we don't have a staff recommendation. So no, we're not ready to make a motion because we have a number of options and I don't know which of those options I'm in favor of. So.
Right. So let's at least.
Procedurally, can we have a discussion before we have a motion and a second?
Sure, if you need to have a discussion to form the motion. But if anybody has a motion, you discuss it.
Okay. So, comments?
I have a motion.
Okay.
I move that we do not change the rates in any way.
Second.
Call the
Okay.
question. Roll call, please.
Well, for discussion.
Yeah, let's have a discussion. So here's my concern, and what I've heard today from our residents and over the past month since this issue has been deliberated is that there is a desire not only to keep the rates the same, that's very clear from everybody here in the room, but also a desire to potentially look at other means by which to take care of costs, whether that's increasing TOT tax or whether that's using money from the general fund, et cetera. And that's interesting to me personally. But again, the issue ultimately comes down to what we're addressing. So many of you, both at the golf committee meetings and through communications with me and here, including our friend, the golf course reviewer for Golf Digest, talk about condition and aesthetics as two key elements for the rating of a golf course. Ty Peabody, you've said to me you think the courses should be at the level of Augusta, to attract not only outside residents or guests to our city, but also guests to our hotels. And, all of us sit in a lot of committees, transportation committees and homelessness committees, et cetera. And costs are going up and up and up. And I, too, want to have an extraordinary golf course experience over there. I'm a big golfer. I don't want to play an average golf course. And I enjoy these two golf courses. And I think they can be better. I think the maintenance can be better. I think the grass can be better. I think, we're going to spend some money now in upgrading sand traps and water systems for the celebrity course. And I hope as part of that, and not hope, but anticipate as part of that, there will be a real focus on landscaping and beautification of the Clive Clark course, because when you look back at some of those original pictures, man, it was spectacular. Flowers where there's dirt today. And so there's just no question, I don't think any of our minds, that costs, have gone up. I mean, Ty, you're charging for an enchilada today something much different than 2017. And so, to sit here and expect, all of us to kind of absorb is an interesting policy concept. You guys have money. You, the city, have money. We, the city, right, have money in our bank account, in our general fund. And we've got all these beautiful hotels where raising TOT tax, let them pay for it. We use the golf course every day, but let them pay for it. I don't want to pay for it because I think it's a right to pay $50 for a round of golf. So when does that become not a right? Does it become not a right when it's $350 a round? Does it become not a right when it's $500 a round? Like, when are we going to actually address an issue, which is we have costs going up? And shouldn't the people who use the golf course pay a little bit of that? No, it's not going to take the entire amount required to make the golf course look beautiful or to try and compensate for the $500,000 that we've lost for maintenance people, et cetera. But doggone it, it's an actual contribution from the people who use the golf course. Isn't that reasonable for us to consider? We're very, very aware of the issues around, the economics of the golf course and what's profitable and what's not profitable and all the pulls and whistles that we could contribute to improving the golf course, raising taxes or whatever that may be. But, there's a lot of other underlying currents here, too. Until COVID, there were 1 million less golfers in America. So golf was losing popularity. Thank goodness, in some ways, COVID came along. So now we have another 2 million, 3 million people playing golf than we did before, and we're seeing the benefit of that. Is that going to last? I don't know. Right? I don't know. I'm concerned about that. So why are actual, usage rates going down on these golf courses? Well, last year we had a course closed. Next year we have a course closed. That's why the projections are going down. We need to get to a level where we've got 2 courses open for a couple of years to really monitor this thing. And when you redo a golf course, you need to allow for the golf course to mature. You got to allow for the golf course to take 2 years for the greens to receive golf balls rather than bounce like a drum off the golf balls. Or you need to allow the rough to come in so that you can actually play it. Look, I was out there for the Senior Championship SCGA, and I'm telling you right now, those men thought the golf course was challenging and exciting. And the Epson Tour just renewed for another 3 years. Why? They're playing that course, not because it's a horrible golf course and a horrible experience, because they think it's an exceptional golf course, an exceptional place to have a tournament. And we're talking to the LPGA and we're making progress. I would even suggest that possibly by 2028, the LPGA is going to be here and they're going to play the Players Course. So I don't think it's that unreasonable for all of us to consider, let's say, a $5 increase. A $5 increase. That's $500 over the course of a year for people who pay 100 times a year. 100 times a year, which is like more than any of us who pay taxes, who pay for the golf course, who pay all those things but don't use it. I don't think that's so unreasonable. And that's why we're having this conversation today.
Why? Because you don't think it's unreasonable?
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable for the people who use the golf course to pay a little more to contribute to its overall beauty, aesthetics, and operations.
So,
and I'm going to ask Kevin this because I'm not a CPA, but what is 0.002?
I did the math as well. It's 0.2%.
0.2% for a $50,000 a year increase, correct?
So 40,000 on 20 million.
Isn't it 200ths? 0.002? I thought that was 200ths of 1%.
No.
What difference does it make?
Well, that's what I say.
I think
it doesn't make a difference.
It's not the issue. No one's suggesting that that's the issue.
No one's making that the issue.
Well,
except you, and I don't know why, because you're opposed to it.
You're making it the issue.
If you're opposed to it.
Tober's making it the issue. He's saying that all of these things need to be paid for, and this isn't the way to pay for it. And all it does is create bad feelings in the community. It's just it tarnishes Indian Wells, which has this, somebody said, Mercedes reputation. People move here for that greens fee. It's not a financial issue. It really isn't. And we're all talking finances, but it's not a financial issue. It's a resident amenity issue. It's we don't have a library. We don't have a swimming pool. We don't have any of the amenities that other cities have except that golf resort. That's what we have. And when you go to the library, I don't know how much a library card costs at Rancho Mirage, but I'm pretty sure that it doesn't pay for the cost of that facility. And, I don't know, a library card, was it $2 or something like that? So this is what we have. We have a golf resort. We don't have a library. We don't have a basketball club. We don't have, we have one park. And so this is what it is. This is our amenity here. This is what real estate agents sell. This is why people want to live here. And to suggest otherwise is just being narrow-minded, in my opinion.
I'd like to chime in, please.
Please.
Okay, so we have the means to do what we want to do. Addressing it with a resident benefit, adding $5, a CPI of 4%, simply isn't going to fix the problem. We over here we tout we have surpluses of millions of dollars, and over here we're tripping over nickels on a resident benefit card. If we want 2 amazing golf courses, let's just make them amazing. We have the means to do it. Let's not attack the resident benefit card. Let's just do what we have to do.
You done?
I'm done.
Great. Dana.
2 quick things. Number one, the greatest amenity that we have that every single homeowner or resident gets the benefit of is the curbs. We don't have to take our garbage out to the curb. And we pay for it. In fact, we just raised it. We pay $40 a month, and that is the greatest personal benefit. My significant other is a realtor. You cannot believe people when she says you don't have to take the garbage out if you live in Indian Wells. They simply can't believe it. It is totally the greatest amenity in the history of man. That's number one. Number two. Also today was the Sunline Transit, which, this is not important, except I've been involved in public transportation for like over 50 years. And every single time we try to raise the rate on the bus or the train or whatever, we get people like this who say, don't raise the rate, don't raise the rate, don't raise the rate. You don't need the money. Well, the fare box recovery is just infinitesimal on these public transportation projects. Just like here, the $50 that you pay or the $35 that you pay is infinitesimal. It's not going to solve any financial problems. It's just part of the overall mix of having enough money to be able to do what you need to do to provide the service to the people who use the service. And if we're talking about a 5% or a 10% increase, I'm terribly sorry. And I hope that nobody is going to lose not having dinner money over that. I doubt very much that they will, but if they do, I'm terribly sorry. But I do not understand the rationale of people who use the bus but don't want to pay any more money, or use the train and don't want to pay any more money, or in this case, use the golf course and don't want to pay any more money. I don't understand it. So is the train, so is the bus, so is the picking up the garbage, and yet nobody complained about paying for picking up the garbage, and we just voted to raise, 95 cents, right? We increased the rate 95 cents. Nobody said a word. Why? Because it's worth it. Now you're saying that it's not worth $55 to play golf? I'm sorry, I just don't agree with you. No, but I use the garbage cans.
Dana, can I say I'm on the board of the Sunline, and you are absolutely correct. The fare box collects about, I think, less than 5% of the gross revenues of the Sunline. There are some cities that have gone to free buses and streetcars because.
Well, they're trying that in New York, and it's not going to work.
Well, it's been tried in other cities where it does work. Indianapolis, Cincinnati. There's a bunch of cities where the city has decided, why are we collecting it? It costs us more money to collect the fare box and buy the computers to do it than it does to actually get the $1 or $2 or whatever. I just don't think that that's the point here. The point here is that we have a beautiful city that we all love. There's no reason to change this fee. It only causes irritation and aggravation just to discuss it, as we can see. There's no financial reason to do it. I don't understand still. I mean, Kevin's not a policymaker. I still don't understand the policy reason to even have this discussion and change it. If it's not a fiscal matter, then what is it? Why are we increasing the rate when people are happy? We have a happy city. And we have a wonderful city. And I just don't see why we have this argument every 2 years when new people come on council. This is what happens every couple of years. And when I was on the golf resort committee, the only reason we raised that to $50 was because of fiscal necessity, that we were told the golf resort was losing $2.3 million or something of that nature, and that everybody had to pitch in. Well, we're not losing money. And if we start losing money, okay, let's come back and talk about increasing our fees. But we're not losing money. We have beautiful golf courses. I'm not, in the camp of it's a terrible golf course, but it's a beautiful golf course. Both of them are beautiful golf courses. Our residents love it. They pay 20,000 rounds a year. They cover our ass in the summer when nobody's coming here because residents play all summer and they pay for it. And they're a good foundation for us. What happens if the residents get disillusioned? I think what they're charging it, I heard they're charging it in Palm Desert. What's the name of the golf course in Palm Desert? Desert Willow is $40 with a resident card. $40 with a resident card. You know, why shouldn't we charge $35? I don't get it. I don't understand the problem. That's where I'm coming from. Let's just, you know, if we start losing money, okay, let's come back and talk about it again.
Well, Mayor, what kind of motion can we come up with to solve the problem without addressing the resident benefit card? Do you have any ideas for that?
I do, but Greg, did you want to have a comment?
Yeah, I have quite a few comments. It's hard for me to figure out where to begin. Look, there's been so many misstatements of fact here that we've heard that it would take more time than what the council has patience for to listen to me try and correct them. All I can say, number one, is everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but not their own facts. The statement was made that the hotels are not holding up their end of the bargain here in terms of the going back to the original formation of the golf resort. The hotels never agreed to buy 1/3 of the tee sheet. That is not in the easement agreement. It is absolutely not. What the easement agreement does is it divides the tee sheet so that the hotels get a percentage of the tee sheet.
Excuse me, we have one meeting. Thank you.
But the hotels cannot take the resident or the guests out at the point of a gun and tell them to play golf. That is an option reserved for the guests. It's not an option that the hotels are required to pay for.
That's correct.
Secondly, the statement was made that somehow, and I'm paraphrasing here, the Players Course has been turned into a second-rate golf course. That's just poppycock. The LPGA was out here before the even before the redo of the Players Course was approved by the City Council. They loved the track. They said the best thing we can do is take the 2 holes on the south side of the wash and move them to the north side of the wash. They looked at the layout and they blessed it. So the LPGA is happy with it. And the proof in the pudding is, as the mayor said, the developmental tour, the Epson tour for the LPGA is coming back, and they're going to be playing the Players Course. Another issue that has kind of gone by the boards here and ignored, we've had some real difficulty with the quality of the water coming from the Colorado River that is used to irrigate the golf courses. We didn't discover until pretty late in the game that water had a very, very high salt content, and it's retarded the growth of the fairway grasses, the greens grasses, and the auxiliary landscaping for the golf courses. That problem is in the process of being corrected. So come on, give us a break. Okay, now let's get to the issue at hand. In 2017, this iconic $35 a round rate was raised dramatically to $50. Percentage-wise, that's an enormous increase. Why was it raised? The golf resort was hemorrhaging money. So in order to try and backfill the losses, the council turned to the residents and tried to balance the books here at the golf resort on the backs of the residents. They attacked the wrong problem. The contract with Troon in 2017 made absolutely no sense. It was a fee-for-service contract, and there was absolutely no incentive for anybody to make money. And who suffered? The residents of Indian Wells. When I was elected, I ran in part on a platform of making the golf resort profitable. And Councilwoman Donna Griffith and I were appointed as a committee by the city council to attack that problem. And I worked my rear end off. And I'll be darned, in fact, I'll say I'll be damned, if I'm going to sit back and let the golf resort backslide back into the red. We can't let that happen. And in order to make sure that doesn't happen, everybody has to pull their own weight. I don't care if raising the resident rate amounts percentage-wise to a de minimis amount of money. It's just that we all have to understand and we all have to pitch in and make sure that that golf resort continues to make money. If it doesn't make money, then what happens? The general fund suffers, because the general fund, at the end of the day, is the fund that is going to have to backfill the losses, just like the general fund backfilled the losses during the entire decade, beginning in 2010. Just look at the numbers and look at the equity. Everybody has to pull their own weight. And I see it as just a fairness issue. I'm sorry. If the rates go up from $35 to $36, is anybody going to miss a meal? Really? I mean, come on. Let's get real.
Mr. Mayor, can I amend my motion?
Yes.
I move that we increase by CPI, but capped at 2% per year.
Is there a second?
I'm not going to second it, but I do appreciate the concept, and I do appreciate the willingness to meet halfway.
Well, then second it, and let's discuss.
Well, okay, for purposes of discussion, I'll second it.
I have a substitute motion,
Okay.
changing the 2% to 5% and not to exceed 5%, in which case I'll support it.
So your motion would be the CPI index. And which index are we suggesting here? Standard CPI?
CPI is the one
I
in the
heard
middle, right?
CPI, and
Okay.
that would be fine.
So CPI index
Not
on
to
an
exceed 5%.
not to exceed 5% annually.
Yes.
Okay. I second that for purposes of discussion.
Okay, I have another substitute motion.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
CPI.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Hold
whoa,
on,
whoa,
hold on.
whoa.
We're supposed to vote on each one of these,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Before this.
But I have a question.
Yes, please, Brian.
So the 5% CPI is based on what rate?
Well, it's the you
CPI
answer
is
that,
the rate.
please.
No.
35 or
The
50.
35,
Oh,
50,
oh,
or we? So
oh.
those are staying the same. We're not.
We're not changing that. At
Okay.
least my substitute motion is we don't change that. They go up gradually. And to your point, it's the nearest round dollar rather than cents.
Okay. So our benchmark is 35 and 50.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so first, if we're going to have to do this the way we should in government law here, meeting procedure rule, the first motion, which was voted on and seconded, was staying the
Keeping
same.
the same.
Right. So let's vote on that.
No, I have
No, we have a substitute motion.
No, we go from the top down. We go from the most recent. down.
Okay, fine. Then let's take the
Can
vote.
I get another substitute motion then?
Yes, of course you
Yeah.
can.
My substitute motion is a compromise, the 3% cap.
I've got Rosenberg's rules up. To double check it, but I believe that we're not supposed to have stacked substitute motions. We
I
can-
believe that you're correct.
I believe so too. That's why I thought we had to vote.
So then we're supposed to vote, but we vote on the substitute motion first. If that fails, we go to the original motion.
The amended motion.
The
original.
Okay,
I amended
Mr. Attorney.
Oh, the
which
amended motion.
And it was seconded.
which motion would you like us to vote on?
Let's go with the substitute motion.
Which is?
Mr. Reed.
Which
From-
is
from
the
from Mr.
notion
Reed.
of the CPI annual index with a cap of 5%.
Correct.
Okay,
On both.
on 35 and 50,
And rounded to the nearest.
rounded to,
dollar.
up to the nearest dollar. Okay.
Can you also state in there the benchmark where we start, please?
35 and 50.
Thank
Yeah, 35 and 50. Yep. Okay. Let's do a roll call.
Councilmember-
Wait, sorry.
Restate the motion. So I'm.
The
I'm
mo-
sorry. May I correct myself? Rosenberg says there can be up to 3 motions on the floor at the same time. So you can have an original amended motion, a substitute motion, and you can have a third
Substitute.
or a second
I
substitute.
think this is the third, but okay.
Okay.
Because the second was
an amendment.
Was yours.
It's an
which
amendment
was- yeah.
to my own motion.
Right. And then the third was this one.
So my substitute motion is compromise, obviously, at 3% of the $35 and $50.
But I think okay. All right. So let's try and get this to a vote. So we have, does anybody support this substitute motion
3%.
of 3% as an annual cap versus 5% as an annual cap?
I do.
Okay. So we have a second. Therefore, if there's not any further discussion, we should vote on that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do a roll call on the motion is there is a CPI annual increase capped at 3%, and rounded up to the nearest dollar.
Okay, Councilmember Whitman,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
No.
Councilmember Sanders,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Penna,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
No,
It passes.
it passes. There you go. Okay,
Very good. Okay.
well done. Onward and upward. Let's go to I2.
Yeah.
Discussion of modifications to resident golf tee time booking availability at Indian Wells Golf Resort. I believe Kevin McCarthy, you're up again.
Thank you again, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Let's talk now about the resident booking window and convenience for our residents. As you know, the City Council recently changed the 14-day booking window from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And since then, we've had a public comment come in that makes the 8 a.m. difficult time, whether folks are already on the move or actually even on the golf course. There is a proposed time that came through the Golf Advisory Committee, and residents who spoke at the Golf Advisory Committee requested a change in the time to 7 p.m. The evening before. So rather than doing the day of at 8 a.m., we'll just move it back 12 hours or 11 hours or so to 7 p.m. the day before. And that's what your item is. I'm available for any questions you may have. And thank you very much.
Move the proposal.
Wait a second. Any other questions?
I have no questions.
No.
Second
Any
motion.
Any public comment?
Yes, I do have Carolyn Richard.
Okay. Come on down, Caroline. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, back to council. Any discussion? Just as an FYI, this motion came out of a lot of feedback from Indian Wells residents, golfers, golf committee, etc. That's the context. We have a motion to approve as recommended. I think we have a second. If not, I'll second it. And let's vote.
Call to order.
So go ahead.
Councilmember Whitman,
Yes.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Pena?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and
I3,
Council.
discussion on potential adjustments to the annual golf resident benefit card fee to support the annual resident golf tournament. Go ahead, Mr.
Mayor,
McCarthy.
I can take this one as well. This discussion came out of a discussion we had at the Golf Advisory Committee regarding the inaugural tennis tournament or golf tournament that was held for residents, which was in April of 2026. The tournament looked to spawn additional resident participation at the golf resort, as well as additional community engagement. During this first year, the golf committee and its subsidiary committee was formed to overlook and oversee the resident golf tournament. Then the resident fee in the first year was $450. Based on the feedback we've received from the subcommittee, there was some discussion about, is it possible to reduce the registration rate to try to encourage more folks to play? And during that discussion, there was some attempt to form a nexus between the golf resident benefit card and what we collect in the card, as maybe collecting perhaps a little bit more money in that to be able to offset some of these costs. So in doing that, we wanted to take a look at what the full cost was. This is a structure of doing the ideal participation at 144 players, a 2-day tournament where we actually close the golf course to only resident play and for that tournament format. The 2-day rental on the golf course is about $50,000. Food and beverage was $12,500 a day, $25,000 for both, and the total cost was about $75,000. Then we also looked at what the annual fee for the RBC golf card was. That's $50. And on average, we have about 2,650 folks signing up for the RBC card. For illustrative purposes only, if the city council were to decide to do a potential increase, you could see there a $5 increase would increase revenue about $13,000 on up to $66,000 for a $25 estimate. In putting this together, I'd like to propose to the council in live time maybe a potential alternative. And allow, rather than working to increase the RBC card today or have some discussion about that, take a step and allow us to perform what I want to call a tournament break-even analysis. And I've outlined 3 steps there that we could follow if this was something you were amenable to. 1, have the city council today reduce the tournament fee. So we'd like to know as staff, what you would like us to charge for the next year's tournament, right? Second, and this is the most important, allow Troon to monetize the golf course or portions of the unused golf course with outside rounds and hotel rounds. As I pointed out in that previous presentation, these are our highest revenue generating rounds. And if we can use these rounds to help monetize the golf course for the day of the tournament, we can actually offset some of the costs by the resident golf tournament and may not need to subsidize any of the resident golf tournament at all. And finally, the third point is allow me to do a break-even analysis. So let me look at all the revenues generated that we could for that particular day for next year's tournament, less all the tournament costs, to determine whether or not a subsidy was needed, and I could report back to you. And this is just a potential option today for you to consider. So with that, these are the council options. Again, allow us to do a break-even analysis, move forward to increasing the RBC rate to offset costs with the tournament, maintain the rate, or provide additional direction. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that completes my presentation. Of course, I'm available for any questions as well as city staff.
Okay, thank you. I have a comment, but I'm going to wait to that point in time during discussion. Does anybody have any questions regarding this? Okay. Any public comment on this particular matter? Okay. Okay. Yeah, please come on down.
Conceptually, I have no issue with raising the price of a resident benefit card. I'd like some more information or more thought into the type of tournament we have. I don't think it was just cost that precluded people from participating in it. I think it might have had something to do with format. If you look at the demographics of our town, very few people, and I include myself as a single-digit handicap in this equation, don't like putting the ball in the hole 18 times. We used to have a city tournament. I think I actually won it. I was on the winning team, I should say, the second year, and my buns are still chapped from the fact we never got a trophy. But it was a four-person scramble, okay? And that created civic engagement. That was geared towards the type of golfers that we have in this city. So I don't know how it gets funded, but I don't think we're going to get more. If we raise the benefit card cost and we lower the price of the tournament, I'm not convinced we're going to get more of the type of golfer that's willing to put the ball in the hole 36 times over the course of 2 days. So I think we need to look at that equation. Thank you.
While the gentleman is here, by scramble, you mean like a best ball format?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's A, B, C, D, not 4A players against 4D players, a balanced, kind of a balanced thing, civic engagement, social interaction, stick around and eat the food. Don't ask to use your voucher in the pro shop, a city event.
And
I just think we need to think about that.
You're a single digit golfer?
Yes.
Can I be on your team?
if you
I'll buy the trophy.
I'll tell you what, council member. If you judiciously use the fees that you just voted to increase to improve the golfing experience, you're more than welcome to be on my team.
Done deal.
There you
Done
go.
deal.
All right. Any other comments? No.
As long as it doesn't compete with LVI, I think that's a good idea.
All right. So here's may I comment on this?
Yeah, sure.
Just to kind of get the ball rolling. Oh, please. Another public comment. Come on down.
I'm Bob Riley, resident golfer. I'm a little confused about this.
Yeah.
So we just talked about fairness and people paying for. I'm not sure if for 144 slots that are going to be offered in this tournament, why 2,600 people are paying for that.
Good question.
Yeah, very good question.
I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to raising the resident card fee, but not necessarily to fund that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about raising my fees on my golf course daily when I go and play, whatever.
You
that's
raised a
going
very
to
good
fund
point.
the beautification of the course and so forth and so on, which I still don't agree with. Then this should be done the same way.
Thank you
Not
for your
paying
comment.
For 144 people to play. I mean, let's take donations.
It's a good point.
Thank you for your comment. So what I was going to say, Dana, is on this subject, because I feel the same way, that the first year of the tournament was not the success that we had hoped for. The participation level was small. The feedback we got at the golf committee and for participants was number one, cost, and number two, format. So I would argue that we need another year here of experimentation before we raise any golf rates or golf resident fees, et cetera. The whole purpose of doing this tournament and choosing it on the weekend of either Coachella or Stagecoach was to do it at a time when the golf course is basically empty for our guests who come stay at the hotel because they're all busy on going to a music concert. And therefore, the entire financial structure burden, if you will, on our golf course was kind of, in my humble opinion, ill-conceived because the cost of renting out the golf course during that day was very different than the day in February or in March where the golf course is normally full. And so I think those of us who played, and include myself in that, though happy to pay the fee, overpaid. And I do think the idea of having at least 2 tournaments, maybe one gross tournament, one scramble tournament, is worth taking a look at. And I do think that the tournament can self-liquidate on that weekend, and that we don't need to raise the rates, and if there's any subsidy, it'll be in the thousands of dollars, or if that at all, if it's done on one of those 3 non-very busy weekends. So I would argue that we should put this to the golf committee, back to the golf committee for discussion on tournament formats and cost, and that we defer this item to a year from now after we get more data back on the success or failure of year 2.
Second.
Okay.
Well, discussion. When you say defer till after, you mean charge $450 again?
No.
Okay.
No, up to the golf committee to decide what they want to charge.
Okay.
I mean, there's a discussion, just so you know, of around $150 for the tournament, or $200.
Yeah, I'm on the Golf Resort Advisory Committee too, and we've discussed this quite a bit. I wasn't on the ad hoc committee, and I don't know how that $450 got put in there, but I would suggest that we discuss charging $50 or whatever, $52.50, whatever the increase is, because that's what it costs to play a round of golf, and for a resident, and it's a resident tournament. And I think if Kevin can work his magic on, and Kevin and Troon can work their magic on utilization of the golf course, then we'll get interest. And what we want is interest. It's for the residents. It's not to make money. It's for the
correct.
residents to get together.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I agree. Let's send it back to the golf committee, and let's seriously think about just charging $50.
Well, and the reason why 150 is because it's 2 days, so there's 100 plus lunch, 25 each day. That gets us to the 150. Just so you're aware.
I get it. I get the numbers, but the psychology of $50 I think would be preferable, and it would get people to play, and that's what we want.
Okay, so I've got a motion and a second. Does anybody want to discuss this motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there we go. Onwards and upwards. Let's talk about tourism marketing plans 2026-27.
Could we take a break, Mr. Chair?
Would you like a break? I'm being asked for a break here. Let's take a 5-minute bio break. We'll be back at 4:05, I hope. All right, 4:10. 4:10. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue this mega council meeting. I think so. Poor guy, but let's just see here. He's next. No, he's after tourism and marketing. Okay. Are you okay hanging with us, Robert? Okay. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. I understand. All right.
You have to excuse.
Yeah, so Councilmember Whitman had to leave, and we give him permission to leave.
No, bring him back, please.
And we've been given the power to vote on his behalf on I-5. All right, let's go to tourism marketing plan. There you go.
Okay. Honorable Mayor, members of the council, residents and guests, good afternoon. My name is Michaela Wilkie, Senior Management Analyst, City of Indian Wells. Before you today is a brief highlight of the fiscal year 26-27 tourism marketing plan developed in collaboration with the Marketing Committee and Visit Greater Palm Springs. This plan builds on strong performance and outlines a strategic, data-driven approach to sustaining Indian Wells' position as a premier luxury, leisure, and meeting destination, with a continued focus on driving visitation, group business, and overall economic impact. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our presenter, Visit Greater Palm Springs Director of Indian Wells Tourism, Samuel Thompson, who will provide success of the past fiscal year and a brief overview of the plan and its key initiatives.
Good afternoon, Mayor Taylor and great council. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Hope you're all doing well. As my role as Director of Tourism, I'm here to grow the TOT of this great city, align our resources with Visit Greater Palm Springs, and simply expand our marketing reach with our campaigns through reaching our leisure and group segments. So we're just going to cover a few things today. I want to be brief and give you time for questions at the end. I'm excited for the past year. This is my second year with Visit Greater Palm Springs, and we made tremendous strides in growing TOT and our impact for the city. If you look at the 2025 calendar year, and as I scroll to it, we've seen pluses in every category. As a greater destination, we're looking at an ADR of $222, which is an increase of 2.5 points roughly. We're seeing growth in revenue, demand, and occupancy as a greater destination over 60% at 1% uptick in a whole calendar year of 2025. And in that, Indian Wells is benefiting tremendously with ADR growth about an $80 premium over $300 per room night at a roughly 6.1% in occupancy, nearing 60% at 58% and growth there as well. So the city is well positioned for the 2025 year, and even year to date, we've seen even more tremendous numbers. As a greater destination, we're seeing ADR at $300 per night at a growth about 6.5%. Occupancy is roughly flat at 72, but Indian Wells is seeing about $120 premium on room rate per room night compared to our competing cities. So we are establishing ourselves as a true rate leader in our city and our entire destination. Now, our marketing strategy is pretty straight cut to the chase. We're here to promote our city as a year-round destination, highlighting our brand pillars of our golf, our spa, all of our amenities of our resorts, and our upgraded dining experiences. We do it through various campaign approaches, and we do it through our specific tactics that show you Indian Wells as a premier destination for vacationers as well as group segments. Here's a breakdown of our budget. We split our fiscal budget about 50-50. So 50% of that goes to our leisure. And we've seen rave reviews building off of new 2 campaigns we did last year. The city's built off of beauty unmatched. Well, we want to highlight that. What does that beauty mean? So we created 2 concurrent programs and campaigns that showcase moments of our city, what the real experiences are. And we're seeing rave reviews and responses. We're right in line with our industry benchmarks and seeing over 9 million impressions for our Moments Unmatched campaign, as well as our Meetings Unmatched campaign that I'll showcase shortly. And we also participate with our great city and our hotel partners in a Visit Greater Palm Springs Summer Co-op. This drives great exposure for the city, over 500 million impressions, over 8,200 spots on paid and connected TV. And we target key markets in our Pacific Northwest, Northern California, and our drive-in markets of LA and San Diego. And here's a highlight of that co-op.
Summer is the perfect time to get away, to soak up every moment, and make memories as beautiful as the surroundings. Discover Indian Wells, beauty unmatched. Plan your summer getaway at visitindianwells.com.
Now, we're grateful for all of our partners here in Indian Wells, but we also participated specifically with the Renaissance and the Grand Hyatt on another Escape series that showcases what they have to offer. We started early that day. And our last one is the Grand Hyatt. Now, as we move forward and we're almost done, group meetings is really my expertise here that I bring to this great city. Being a former hotel guy and event planner, we have tremendous opportunities here to continue to grow the city and get exposure out there in the market. Again, our market and our media plan is split in half, where half of our spend is dedicated to both segments. And we've seen growth in our meetings on match campaigns to highlight all the abundance of our ballrooms and amenities that our hotels offer in a resort campus, exposing and getting in front of meeting planners through various publications like Meetings Today, Small Market Meetings, and North Star, just to name a few of the platforms that we promote our content on. And then our incentive plan has grown tremendously the last 2 years. In my first full year, we incentivized 8 programs to take advantage of our summer promotions, incentivizing them to book into our shoulder season where we need it the most. I'm happy to say in my first 2 years, we've grown that from 8 to 21.
Nice.
So we were continuing that trend with a new incentive that we just launched a couple of weeks ago, doubling down on the incentive offer to promote multi-year programs and book multi-years out. So we're not booking in the year for the year, but we're pacing and basing our business and keeping a good bottom baseline demand going. Now, with our media plan, this is what our committee approved to move forward. They're excited about the direction, the progress, and what the successes we've celebrated so far. This media plan will focus on 2 priorities. One is our CVent platform, where we reach 145,000 meeting planners around the world that use that platform to source RFPs and business to anywhere in the world. This is where we want to build a microsite for a couple reasons. We want to be listed in their platform as a luxury golf destination. We are not currently. The Grand Hyatt is the only venue listed in our city on this platform. I want to take our campus approach and promote through this platform our golf resort, showcasing the abundance and the walkability and the accessibility from our resorts that is right in the middle of our resort campus collection. With that positioning, we're going to stand to gain and grow our marketability to meeting planners around the globe. And that's one of the quick fixes, one of my top priorities moving forward with the new media plan that was approved a couple of weeks ago. So thank you for your time and thank you for your trust you've given me thus far in my first 2 years here. Any questions? Great counsel.
Does anybody have any questions?
No questions. I just want to thank you for all your hard work and going to the meetings that visit Greater Palm Springs. When you see the outreach that's worldwide at 30.8 billion clicks or impressions, it's an amazing number. So we appreciate all your hard work in exposing our city to the world. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Any other questions?
Just a comment. I want to echo what Councilmember Penna just said. Samuel, you're doing a great job. This is a tangential comment. The issue during our debate over resident golf rates was brought up that somehow we gave away 6 acres of land and got nothing in return. The Renaissance cannot use, is it 80 rooms?
20%.
Yeah, 20% of their occupancy they can't use because the pool is so crowded.
Yes.
And it wasn't even a Renaissance hotel decision. It was mandated by Marriott. So they had no choice. Now they have committed to building a pool. It's not as stated that they're going to do nothing for that property. They're going to build an adult water feature, and that will free up 80 rooms. And with no investment on our part, we'll be collecting additional TOT based upon their ability to rent out those 80 rooms.
Well, and we didn't own the land in the first place.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. In addition,
We got the easement for free.
Yeah. In addition to that, when you open up all those rooms, you open up the restaurants in our city, the golf resort. There's it just creates even more. So it's bigger than it seems.
Gentlemen, can we keep the conversation to marketing, please?
Well,
All
I
right.
just
Does
had to say
anybody?
it.
I appreciate it.
Myself.
Does anybody have any other questions regarding marketing? I do. So with this approval, we are granting you Want to put back that slide? What, about $135,000? As I recall.
I believe the increase is roughly 200,000 for added to the fiscal budget. And this is where I'm prepared to spend some of that towards the new media plan in the new fiscal year.
Okay, so the total amount we have for your annual budget is
450. Well, it's currently 250,000.
currently 250, and you're seeking what?
I've been
in addition.
We were awarded another 200,000.
If I can clarify, you've already budgeted the 450.
Right. So what is the purpose of this discussion?
It's to share with you what they plan to utilize that additional $200,000.
So this is information only.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. And so with that additional $200,000, I see that you're spending it on social media. You're going to target high-end golf resort communities, what your focus on.
We want to position us
yes,
as that.
Yeah,
Yes.
right? That's where your focus is going to be with this additional funding?
Yes. Okay. That's the number one priority in my media plan, because currently when you
during all season, not
year
just
round,
yeah.
when planners are on that platform, they're looking year round for destinations where they can have golf and a resort background or experience. We're not listed that way. Many other platforms or other cities are, like LA Live as an example in this deck. They promote the JW and the Ritz-Carlton and then a Courtyard and a Residence Inn as a campus. They're not a campus. We are 4 resorts in our city. That's a really rare find, with a golf resort right in the middle. So as a former planner, I see the advantage of really positioning ourselves as a golf destination on this platform, because the Grand Hyatt is, but not the Renaissance, not the Tommy Bahama. So we're missing the opportunity here to reach planners that can see it from a campus-wide lens, that they can walk and assess different venues without transportation. A golf cart, 3 minutes door to door, or walkability of 7 minutes door to door.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, I think as far as the production values, sorry to focus on that, but as the production values on the ads, yes. I have had concerns. Those were better. Right.
Awesome.
And so I would argue that we should set up a separate meeting, maybe with Brian, you and I, to talk about the actual advertisements, the quality of the production, actors used, et cetera.
We love your feedback
Great.
for sure.
Great.
Thank you for that opportunity to sit down and review that.
Beautiful. So let's have the city set something like that up to talk.
So are we talking through Visit GPS, you as the member? Are we talking about an ad hoc
him
committee?
him as the member, and
you're
and
the
me as the
alternate.
and the alternate.
Fair enough.
Right. So just to talk about it. Okay. There we go. Anybody else? Thank you very much for your presentation. We look forward to increasing the number of people visiting our city.
Thank you. Great counsel. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Yep. Look how beautiful that golf course looks. Yep. Boy, I'll tell you. All right, let's go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Indian Wells military tattoo. I'm very excited about this.
You are a patient man.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Freeland, I believe you have a presentation.
I do, Mr. Mayor, member City Council. Thank you. Before your consideration is a discussion for the inaugural Indian Wells Military Tattoo and Scottish Festival that we're looking to debut in fall of 2027. It's going to be very difficult for me to do any justice to describe what a military tattoo is. So I've asked Nick to run a video which will describe it and show you what happens on an event in Virginia that's one of the best in the country. And we wish to do even better.
Year. The Virginia International Tattoo returns to Norfolk Scope in April. This year's program will feature a special salute to America's armed forces. Mike Gooding got a preview.
This year will be the 28th Virginia International Tattoo. It will be once again this year. As always, its organizers say, unabashedly patriotic. It's a centuries-old tradition with ceremonial performances of military music by masked bands, highlighted by the signature pipes and drums, plus military drill teams, Celtic dancers, and choirs, presented in cooperation with NATO, the Norfolk NATO Festival, and the Virginia American Revolution 250 Commission. At the heart of this year's show will be a salute to 250 years of service and sacrifice by the U.S. Army, Marine Corps, and Navy.
It's nice when you have an anniversary year just to remind yourself and everybody else, yeah, we appreciate them, and we wouldn't be here without them.
It's incredible. The guardsmen are excited about it. I'm excited about it. And we're going to put on a fabulous show.
The Virginia Arts Festival says the estimated annual economic impact from the tattoo and other arts festivals events is more than $25 million.
Over 50% of the attendees are coming from outside of Hampton Roads to visit the community, stay in our hotels, eat in our restaurants, go to the tattoo, and go to several of our other attractions. It's a great economic driver for the area, in addition to being a great cultural asset.
Mike Gooding, 13 News Now.
The tattoo runs from Thursday, April 24th through the 27th at Norfolk Scope. For more information on how to get tickets, head to 13newsnow.com under links in the news.
So the intent of this event is going back to the council direction to try and create more activation over the tennis garden and increase tourism in our community. Robert Heggie, which I'm willing to bet you know who he is based on how he's dressed today in our audience, has formed a nonprofit organization called the Indian Wells Military Tattoo with the intent of partnering with the city of Indian Wells as well as the tennis garden, who we have met with and has expressed a willingness and an interest to provide the use of one of our 2 free utilizations of the tennis garden should the council wish to move forward with this opportunity. Due to the fact that they are anticipating construction this coming year, this summer and into the early fall months of 2026, we're looking for a fall 2027 date. That gives us more time to work with the tennis garden and the nonprofit to put together a facilitation. Now, our partnership will be similar to that to the Dr. George Carr Show, where we will be the title sponsor. We'll get some free admissions, benefits, and for the residents and whatnot as well. The recommendation
in exchange for providing the tennis garden at no cost.
That is correct, yes, sir. And so the intent of this is to, again, bring back more activation in our community. And also our hotel partners have been working closely with this to trying to find a weekend or a week that this is activation happens to benefit the hotels, the golf resort, and our community that helps on the shoulder months of our season. If I may also mention, it was unanimously approved by both the Finance Committee and at the Marketing Committee to advance this project for consideration. And with that, concludes my report. Here for any questions, and I know Robert Heggie is here with the Indian Wells Military Tattoo to answer any questions.
Robert, come on down. I can't just let you sit there dressed. You've dressed to the nines without having you at least come.
No pants.
There you go.
All righty.
Congratulations on your FIFA win.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the question is, with this tattoo, the television excerpt was not 100% accurate because it was a unique scenario with the 250th anniversary. My understanding from tattoos, which I've been to in the past, is that it's really kind of a band competition, if you will. But please share how you envision this tattoo taking place from a programming perspective at this point in time.
I'll answer the question and give everyone here who doesn't know me what I've done a little bit of comfort. First of all, I have to say, Honorable Mayor and council members and Chris and the team, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. The answer to the question is a tattoo, which who would have thought that in the 1700s it would come from turn off the taps, right? So it's an entertainment with a military flavor. But I think it's more than that. When I moved here 33 years ago, and live about 7 minutes from here, I had 2 dreams. One, to form a pipe band, and I did. The Palm Springs Air Museum Pipe Band. It wasn't that to begin, but I call it the Palm Springs Pipe Band because Canadians recognize that name, but I want to change it to Indian Wells to be more recognized. My dream was to have a pipe band, and we do. 2007, I founded it and Pipe Major, and we've donated many hundreds of thousands of dollars directly and indirectly through our piping and actually raising funds. The second thing I had was to do a tattoo and a Scottish festival. A tattoo is what you saw up here, which is entertainment with a military flair. And in fact, I have been asked to participate in multiple tattoos, everywhere from the Denver Black Watch to the Niagara Falls Police Tattoo, and I've been invited 4 times to play in the Edinburgh Tattoo. I've had the joy of being honored to be asked to play for the Queen twice, full ride scholarship for bagpipes, and the list goes on. I was in the Canadian Army for 6 years, and was with the Seaforth Highlanders and
participated in exercises with the Airborne Rangers. So I got a good background of military and entertainment. Maybe someone argued that bagpipes are a military instrument of war, but that's been actually ruled out a few years ago. So the tattoo I can see as starting would be start small with a one-day event. You'd have to have a day of rehearsal. If it works out well, which I have every reason to believe, we will have a building of 2 or 3 day event with a competition of pipe bands and solo, which we already have approval. As you've heard from Chris, I have an incorporated company. The advisory board is actually got a currently serving Brigadier General Andy Colomb, as well as Rod Vandenbos, who's the CEO of Buzzbox, myself, and we also have a very well-known in Minneapolis, one of the pipers in my band who's done a lot of nonprofit. So we've got a quorum of people and a way to create an event that is more than just military and entertainment. As you saw, we're planning on having celebrities involved as well. At the same time, at the right time, we're going to have pipe band as well as solo competitions. I believe it's really important to mention here, I think that this is a unique opportunity that not many cities will have because of the view, the look, the tennis gardens, but also the number of Canadians, one here, who will live here and come here. I think we'll make this even more of a destination, I think. It'll come with a lot of work, but that's my intention is to have a legacy and have this be a not-for-profit that does good for the military and for the community as well. Do you think I covered it off?
Who would benefit from the nonprofit?
It's actually in the document we had to submit to IRS as well as to the city. It's everybody's who's going to be in a recognized veterans association, everything from the Iron Horse Marines to Special Forces. There's about 15 that we've identified, as well as the community as well.
I would assume U.S. versus Canadian or Scottish.
It's all going to be U.S., all local.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been very honored to have received some thank yous from the commanding officer, 29 Palms, and the Iron Horse Marines for the money we've raised over the last 15 to 20
Thank
years,
you.
I guess.
Any other questions, by the way, gentlemen?
No question. Just thank you to Robert and the Palm Springs Air Museum Pipe Band for becoming a fixture at our Memorial Day and Veterans Day services. Thank you.
It's our honor. We all look forward to it.
And so is there a recommendation by staff?
There is, if I could read it, it says, Council authorizes the city manager to allocate one of the city's 2 annual no-cost rental uses of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden to Indian Wells military tattoo event and finds the project to be exempt from provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act.
So the recommendation is to proceed to
We're going to have to
negotiate
finalize
agreements.
That is correct.
And then do you come back to council?
We certainly will, just for your blessing.
For either a budget approval or something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it.
In order to just help with the negotiations with the tennis garden, we just need to know if we're allowed to use one of our freebies.
That's really the whole
That's
issue.
what it comes down to.
Use in the other freebie, is that
The
being used
Dr.
for the-
George
for the
Carr show.
Dr. George Carr show?
Yes, sir.
So that would complete our use of our freebies.
That is
at the-
correct.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions before I open for public comment? Does anybody have any public comment? Jennifer, I would assume you would have a public comment on the tattoo, being that you were married in Scotland. Okay. Thank you very much. Back to council. Does anybody have a motion?
I move the recommended action.
Second. Do we want to have any further discussion or should we vote?
Vote.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
And for the record, Bruce Whitman allows me to vote for him and he's voting in favor as well. So it's motion carries with 5-0. Congratulations, and we look forward to a spectacular event in 2028. Okay, here we go. Recommendation for future amendments to the city's telecommunication ordinance. Director Berg, please come to the microphone. I'm disappointed you're not in a kilt.
You wouldn't want to see that. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council members. John Berg, your Community Development Director. And thank you, sir. John Berg, your Community Development Director, and before you is the item for some recommendations to the telecommunication ordinance. Actually, a recommendation hopefully we can receive from the council to move forward with drafting an ordinance based on what was presented to you at your May 21st council meeting, where our IT manager, Nick Warner, presented the findings of our wireless master plan to you, which did a comprehensive look at the coverage areas in the city and also some strategies for improving coverage through zoning amendments. Ultimately, that document, which was attached to this staff report as a reminder, was received and filed by the council. And we formed an ad hoc committee where Councilmember Sanders and Councilmember Reed worked with staff to devise some of the strategies that were recommendations in that wireless master plan. So discussions with the ad hoc committee acknowledged that a majority of the existing coverage gaps in the city are within the gated communities, or at least within the gated communities and the surrounding perimeter. And it looked at prioritizing improvements within these areas to have a comprehensive solution for citywide coverage. The city's existing telecom ordinance limits macro cell development. It does allow inside the gated communities macro cells attached to the clubhouse facility, but it restricts it directly to the clubhouse area. Anywhere outside of there would require a variance. So it was acknowledged by the ad hoc committee that maybe we should unlock some of the areas outside of the clubhouse area within the golf and recreation area to allow for further expansion of telecom uses in those areas. It also was acknowledged that the existing telecom ordinance really is limiting in the fact that it doesn't allow much exceedance of height. The height is limited by what the height is of the clubhouse facility itself. So in some cases, it's only like 33 feet high. So there should be some consideration to allow additional heights if they're considering doing co-locations on the tower and disguising the tower to blend in with the built environment or the surrounding landscape. So, as I mentioned, we're looking outside of the clubhouse in areas like the maintenance area, the cart barns, the parking lots, perimeter open space areas, the sales and marketing areas, the front guard gate, those kind of things would be now opened up, and not the areas where you play golf, the actual active golf areas. It also was acknowledged that some of the areas that are ancillary support areas outside of the golf course in the wireless master plan as potential cell sites were within the gated community, but outside of the golf and recreation zone. And so in those instances, the property owner or the leasee or the leaseholder could propose a zone text amendment to allow those facilities in those areas. So just as an exhibit that was in the master plan to kind of illustrate what we're talking about is the golf play areas on the right-hand side, the protected golf play areas would be prohibited from entertaining any cell tower use, but the eligible areas are the clubhouse, the parking lot, the perimeter edge areas, and all the areas that ancillary support areas that I mentioned before. The height exception here is another illustration from the wireless master plan, just to kind of illustrate, what they were talking about is to, if you have a stealth facility such as a faux tree or maybe a clock tower, some other architectural appendage to a building that is compatible and consistent with the built environment or the surrounding natural environment, we should consider some contingencies to the height rule on those facilities, and especially if they're co-locatable. So we don't have three different carriers having three different towers in a similar area. We can all consolidate on one tower. Unsightly structures such as the lattice tower you see there wouldn't have any kind of height exception. Just to illustrate that this is the land use zoning map, and the areas that are circled there in green, the golf and recreation, constitute a large area of land within our cities that really we're not taking advantage of because it's restricted to the clubhouse in those areas. And to illustrate that further for you, I'll show you the existing coverage maps that were in the wireless master plan and for the different carriers real quickly. And this is a T-Mobile's existing coverage area, and you can see that if you look at the legend that excellent coverage areas are in green. The good is in yellow. Mids are orange, and the dead zones, if you will, are in red. And you can see the dead zones are really consistent with where the golf and recreation zones are, the gated communities. And I'll illustrate that by bringing back the zoning map. And you can see if I toggle back and forth, you're looking at the, You're looking at the green areas on the map there. That's the golf and recreation zone. And that's, well, I went right through it, didn't I? Why did,
Oh, we're done?
yeah.
That was good.
Sorry about that.
Technology is great when it works.
So hold on. Oh,
Okay, there we are. So here's T-Mobile. There's
Can we
the
look
zoning
at
map.
AT&T?
Yeah, and then AT&T is coming up. This is the existing T-Mobile, and then if you the next slide is going to show you the opportunity of placing T-Mobile sites on the golf and recreation. You can see it vastly improves the coverage area there, and here's the existing AT&T. Again, putting towers in the golf and recreation zone vastly improves the coverage areas. The existing Verizon as a comparison, and with those strategic locations in the golf and recreation area, you get a lot better coverage. And there's the map. So what the ad hoc is recommending is that we bring this back to the council for formal direction to draft an ordinance incorporating the recommended improvements based on the wireless master plan for the city's golf and recreation areas, and improve future cell service for the city's residents and visitors. Also strengthen the foundation for public safety communications. And we would like to schedule the draft ordinance for public hearings with the city's planning commission and city council at their next regularly scheduled meetings. The options before you would be to approve the ad hoc committee's recommended action and find that action does not constitute a project under CEQA, or provide alternative directions to staff. And I am available for questions, and I know that our ad hoc committee is here as well.
So again, the council has already, I believe, approved changes to the telecommunications restrictions or additions to the overlay.
I think that's what we're asking for today, is to ask for your direction to bring that back as an ordinance, drafting some of the recommendations that came out of the ad hoc based on the recommendations that came from the wireless master plan.
Okay.
What I'm saying is you just received and filed the document, and you didn't give us any direction at that time other than form the ad hoc and come up with a strategy.
Go ahead.
So a question, John, maybe you stated it and I didn't hear it. We talked about a specific plan strategy. Did you cover that in your?
Yes, I mentioned that there were some areas in the wireless master plan that identified areas inside a gated community, inside a planning area.
Okay.
And that those areas were outside of the golf and recreation zone, but still contained facilities such as maintenance yards or parking areas or sales lots. Those kind of things are consistent with the proposed locations for telecom facilities within the golf and recreation zone.
Okay.
And they could go through a different process with the applicant.
I got it. And that'll be a part of the ordinance that you bring back.
That is part of the ordinance.
Yeah, okay. Good enough.
So again, I'm just trying to, for great clarity, what you're asking us to do is to vote on your proceeding to create an ordinance for us to vote on in a future city council.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
But it goes to the planning commission first.
It goes to the planning commission first for recommendation to the city council.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. All right. Any other questions? Public comments. Is there a public comment? Oh, come on, Rob. You can't just be sitting here without wanting to come to the mic on this subject. Okay, good. Thank you very much. All right. Well, then back to council. Any questions?
I move the recommended action.
Move the recommended. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. 4 votes to none. All right, now we go to city council member reports and comments. We're going to skip Mr. Whippen and go right to you, Mr. Reed.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Okay. How about you, Greg?
Nothing that
Come on.
can't wait
Greg.
until the next meeting.
Oh, come on. It's September.
Oh, it's also 4:45.
That's right.
Oh, jeez.
Nothing
Okay.
earth shaking.
All right, Mr. Pettit.
I will tell you that
now we've got something.
the Animal Campus Commission is really doing an outstanding job in terms of making the shelters in the Coachella Valley, the shelter in the Coachella Valley, a no-kill shelter. Continued progress is being made. And if there's any county program out of which the city of Indian Wells gets a lot of bang for its buck, it's animal services. They do a great job.
Is that
That's
it? Okay. Mr. Penna.
Let's see here. Okay. I don't have a lot to comment on. The Cool Will Be Hot sold out very quickly. That's coming up next Wednesday, the 24th. I did attend the homeless committee, CVAC homeless committee yesterday for Mayor Taylor, and a year of the impact in the valley numbers are 1,800 people were provided services in the year, 1,000 engagements, 150 graduates from the program. So they're doing a wonderful job over there at the homeless committee. And I don't have anything else at this time to report on.
Okay. My turn. I went to the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Long Beach. Thought it was a outstanding conference. The level of dialogue, speakers, subject matters was, in my humble opinion, head and shoulders above contract cities or California cities. Interestingly enough, two hot subjects that were a focus were data centers, where mayors across the country are being challenged by their communities being against data centers. And yet the discussion was around educating communities, deal making, state-of-the-art data centers today that are vastly superior to those created 20 years ago, and a clear strategy on how to successfully implement the construction of data centers in local markets. Another hot subject was sports and the creation of sports and entertainment in cities to drive the economy. And it was an incredible thing to hear about these cities trying to do what we've been doing for the past 20 years, quite frankly. And it gave me great motivation and joy to hear that we are ahead of the time and on track, and quite frankly, the envy of people's eyes on that particular front. The mayor who gave the most loquacious conversation was the mayor of Savannah, who gave an award to the city mayor who stole their minor league baseball team, which enabled the Savannah Bananas to come in out of nowhere and take over the city, which now has changed that economy from moribund to thriving. And so it's kind of fun to talk and hear about various stories around the country from mayors. Let's see here, Energy and Sustainability Committee, CVAG, we talked a lot there about updates and the desire to kind of advance dust mitigation, and that once again, we're in the middle of dust season and there is no solution, which goes nicely to our ad hoc committee on the subject, where Greg and I met with Manny Perez, Tom Kirk, and their various representatives to actually set forth an action strategy to gain access to the piece of land that CVAG has identified as being a root source for dust, and the next steps required. and we are taking action to try and advance that cause. On another ad hoc committee, the FAA, we've engaged an attorney. We've met with the attorney. Greg and I have also been meeting with pilots and consultants in the process of preparing for a meeting with the FAA in Washington, D.C. We're now at the point where we just need to do a quick study, kind of an analysis on a technical analysis on what we've approved and recommended, as well as get pilot letters that share the concern of potential conflict in the air with Bermuda Dunes and the new landing pattern into Palm Springs Airport. So if anybody has any pilots that would like to submit a letter to us, we'd be very grateful. The Golf Committee is grateful for the addition of the trees that have been added to mitigate potential risk between holes. And we're very excited about seeing that come together. And there was a lot of concern shared about and noted for all of us moving forward that the celebrity course is not be changed, but simply improved from an irrigation perspective and from a few of the traps. No realignment of holes, no adjustments to the actual kind of alignment of the design and architecture of the course, which everyone loves and wants to support. And we gave everybody comfort to know that the Clive Clark, the architect who had originally designed the course and is now supervising the revision, has no intention to change the course design, but he does have the intention to remove some traps and create some efficiency. We also assured the Golf Committee that there will be a focus on landscaping and beautification of the property as part of the construction next summer. The Riverside County Transportation Commission, very important meeting last week where we voted to request a ballot measure to extend Measure B, a tax, half-cent tax, to continue beyond its termination, which is, some 9 years from now currently, but for another 30 years, to continue to pay for, road construction and public transportation, such as trains specifically, in Riverside County. Boy, there is, the challenge I had just sharing this with you is the vote passed by adding a layer of bureaucracy that I think is completely unnecessary, but which creates kind of a combination of citizens and county elected officials to be on a transparency committee between the staff and the RCTC committee to provide comfort to voters, which was something that was done in Orange County after there was all kinds of accusations of fraud. Of course, we don't have that in Riverside, but the establishment of this bureaucracy looks like it's going to proceed, unfortunately. I believe that concludes my discussions, and this meeting is now adjourned until, I suppose, we have a meeting scheduled July 2nd, so we will keep that on the books in case something ridiculous happens between now and then. And if it doesn't, we're going to move it to September. So thank you very much for staying and for all of your engagement. It's much appreciated. This meeting is adjourned.